see, we kind of started this podcast. We got put on a roast battle team with each other.
Yeah.
And it was originally like Cam he works in film and stuff, and he kind of knows a lot of this.
What do you do?
I do production, but I've recently been attached to a Netflix show as a background actor.
Which show is that?
It's coming out 2024. It's about a Marine during Don't Ask, Don't Tell who's trying to hide the fact that he's gay from his fellow Marines, and I'm one of the classmates.
Oh, wow.
So
well, good. That could lead to something.
Yeah, I got paid $1,000 to show my dick. So
which episode?
Episode 1.
Wait, do you get residual for something like that?
Not for background work.
Oh, you don't?
No. There in LA, there is a background guild that gets you residuals, but we don't have that in Louisiana.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
We're
kind of
fucked out here.
I kind of depended on him a lot for the production side because I don't know shit about it. I'm more just into the like.
Oh, can I ask them? So you're already recording?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we're just gonna cut in whenever.
No,
you
I
feel
don't care.
comfortable.
There's nothing I said that it's not gonna get me trouble, or whatever. But how does one get a dick pic spot in the show? Like, how did you find that gig?
So it was an ad that one of my production friends sent to me. This was like the beginning of the writer's strike.
Yeah.
They were like looking for 40 dudes between 18 to 25 that were just in reasonable physical shape. They made it sound like you were going to do a bunch of workouts, but they never did.
Yeah.
But it was just a film production thing. They had a bunch of people, some people come in from LA, some
Right.
people. But I just found out, I went to a cattle call and got picked.
Well, that's great. So they're very nice to you. They want you to come back next season.
Yeah. Well, because we're in the background of every single of the main characters' like classes every single time they're doing like jumping jacks or push-ups.
So you're like basic training. One of the guys. In the
Yeah.
background.
So we're gonna shave my head completely, and I'm gonna be a private.
Yeah.
In training.
Well, this might lead to something. You
Yeah.
never
No,
know.
it's a lot of fun.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you're just chilling in a tent with like 40 dudes all day while
I see.
like waiting for the scene. So you're just hanging out with the guys. It's like getting paid for it.
So, well, what is it like for you guys starting? Sorry, I'm taking over the.
Go for it.
No, I'm just curious. What is it like for you guys to like? How do you figure out where to do shows and like what would you like? You know, I'm sure when you're doing it for the first time, you have some idea watching TV, but when you actually do it for the first time, I'm sure you're kind of figuring shit out, right?
Yeah, it's shaky. I got on stage for the first time to do stand-up when I was 18.
Yeah.
And then I went to college and did 4 years of improv there.
Yeah.
So getting used to doing improv shows was a lot like more like low stakes because we were just, hanging out, doing improv, and then like having a party.
But I think it's good because I don't know anything about improv. But it seems like you sometimes feel stupid doing it or silly, but you lose kind of fear on stage doing that stuff.
It really does. It got me used to being on stage very well.
Where did you go to school?
Mississippi State.
And what did you study? Theater?
I studied television broadcasting.
Oh, hence this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
And what was it like for you?
So for me, I had got a ticket for possession of, oddly enough, in Mississippi for possession of marijuana is like 3 grams, but they give you a ticket for it. And I had to go to court, and I was kind of like up in the air about what my life was. Got failed out of college. I was just working at Sonic Drive-In full time. And a way that I could get out of the ticket kind of, and it was something that I was possibly interested in, was joining the Marine Corps. And
wait, that's the option?
Let's just say in like places like Mississippi,
yeah,
they respect that a lot, and they know it would hinder me from being able to get in to the military. And there's such a crisis with recruitment in the military right now. Like, they need as many people as they can get.
Wait, when you say crisis, how obvious is it? Like, do they tell you, or you just hear about it?
So you kind of hear about it, but also they so we had a group of so I went to go work out at the recruiting center. Yeah. They have, young kids. I was like 21 and the rest of them were like 18 and 17 years old. And we had these higher ups come one day and they were like, you kids in Louisiana, y'all either can't pass a drug test or can't lose the fucking weight. And that's like the case around the whole country.
Yeah.
Kids are too obese and everybody's smoking pot.
Yeah.
And anyways, I'm going through it. I got down to 185 again.
Yeah.
Because that was going to be my shipping out weight. And so once I got down to weight, I was kind of getting close to being able to pass a drug test. That was kind of holding me back too. and because I still hadn't learned my lesson from having to go to court.
Yeah.
And I was signing all my paperwork, and they give you the life insurance thing, and it says, put your inheritance down here, and it's $500,000. And I thought about it. I was like, damn, my brothers are going to be really rich if I die.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, but they'd probably rather me not die. And
Sure.
then that slowly turned it. I don't want to die.
Yeah.
I feel like I have something else to, in weird Kanye West fashion. I have something else to offer the world besides my life.
Yes.
Yeah, Crockett has PTSD from never going to war.
Yeah.
And just thinking about war real hard.
Just thinking about war.
So when did you
real
start
hard.
doing stand-up?
So I started doing stand-up after I told my parents I didn't want to go to the military. I was going to get on a tugboat. I was going to go do the tugboats like my friends because I had quit
Wait, what
smoking.
is that?
Now it's like hauling like oil and chemicals upriver and downriver, the Mississippi, Ohio, all those rivers. And I got hired on at a company, passed my drug test and everything. But part of the hiring process is you get an MRI done. And I found out that I had a bulging disc and spinal stenosis, which is narrowing of the spinal canal, is losing fluid in one of my discs.
Yeah.
And it was because I was having all this groin pain, but I thought it was something like a football injury from high school. But it wasn't. It was just nerve pain. And anyways, after that, I was like, I just don't know what to fucking do. And I've been saying I kind of wanted to do stand-up. I love podcasts. Like I told you, like I've seen all your episodes of every podcast you've ever been on. And
I want to keep hearing about, but can I ask you guys, because how old are you?
24.
24.
Are you guys, I'm just asking you because
How old are you?
I'm 54.
Right on.
So I'm sure you still talk to some of your high school friends, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? Generally speaking, is your generation optimistic about your future?
No. Not really. I mean, in my experience.
So with all my friends, fortunately, I've surrounded myself with really good friends. And for the most part, all of them have really good jobs.
Yeah.
Some of them might not necessarily love what they do. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with this. Like, I have a good job, too. I sell cars right here in Kenner on Veterans. And somehow I lucked up into that job. I had applied to be a security guard, flipping burgers, all kinds of stuff at the dealership's the one that called me first. And I'd already been practicing being a comedian, so I could perform and sell myself by then. Got the interview, got the job.
You both have that, actually, right? Like you're whether it's improv or selling cars, you are selling yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And
Just working on general.
That's what they tell you when
get
you're
practice doing
training.
it.
Number one, you have to sell yourself.
Yeah.
Then sell the dealership. Then sell the car. Is the method they want you to use. You want to give them a good experience from handshake to sign off or whatever their option is.
You know, older I get, I try to be sympathetic. Not just people that look like me, but others who are different from me. And I just wonder sometimes, because when I look at you guys, you know, the way the society's been telling you guys, like being a man is wrong, but especially being a white man is wrong. And you cannot be responsible for something that happened in the past. You can only be responsible for you. And whenever it comes out, people way more patriotic. They love their country. They don't talk shit about how great this country is, you know. Mm-hmm. But it seems like for you guys, the options are either working locally or going to military. And you know, I mean, for most of your friends, is college is a really option for you guys?
So they have several different universities throughout the state. We have a lot of universities actually, and some of them are easier to get into than others. Half of my friends, like I said earlier, half of them work on a tugboat. Half of them have college degrees.
Yeah.
I've got friends that are college student football coaches, and I got one that's an engineer in a tugboat, and both of them are 22 years old, 23 years old. So I mean, you know, it's just a wide spectrum of things, but I've definitely felt that trap. Thankfully, I got this job selling cars because, like, it does get like that. And you see people like they can't get out of where it is. Because, I mean, like, the town I'm from, it's 10,000 people. It's small. It's poverty. It's the poorest parish in the poorest state in the union.
Like, I have a lot of high school friends that are doing well and stuff like that, but I have a lot that didn't really get through college or didn't have the ability to go. And especially with like around the time we graduated college, that's COVID, and like that impact is like kind of new to all of us.
Sure.
Like being a younger person during COVID who's like going through school, and it's like your whole like life and plan kind of gets shifted at that point.
Because this is my impression, right? Like when I was your age, like we didn't have online stuff. You actually have to read books. You actually have to spend time with people. So I can't imagine what was it like for you guys. Because on one hand, even when you're in high school, I'm sure you guys were using your cell phone a lot.
Yeah.
So you probably didn't have as many hours of meaningful like relationship. Not because our generation was better than you guys. We had no choice. We didn't have cell phone, right?
Yeah.
So
and now we have no choice but to use the cell phone.
Yeah, and then this fucking COVID thing hit. To me, the worst group, in my opinion, when it happened, because in March, because this coming March is 4 years ago when the COVID started, right?
Whoa.
I think the worst group, in my opinion, was kids who were in high school, senior class, because when that March hit, they never saw their friends again. They graduate, and when they went the first 2 years in college, they were kind of away from campus. That's a really weird that.
Yeah, that's their whole social growth time.
Yeah. So like, I wonder what that shit did. And I don't know how much Rosie Trent talked to you guys, but I work in. I primarily moved to LA 20 years ago because I was working sex business, right?
Yeah.
I was editing porn or whatever. Not technically editing porn, but making DVDs.
Were you burning the DVDs or?
No, I am what you call a DVD producer. So it's my job to design what the DVD looks like. So, they have motion menu, 6 of them. The next menu is like another 6. So, they're divided by sex scenes. Then
Gotcha.
I have to put music in it, filmography. There's a bonus scene or extra footage or whatever. I have to put all that shit together.
You're picking out the bonus features and the.
Yeah, and then when you move. Unlike Hollywood movies where you move chapter from one chapter after another because something happened, right? But I have to put chapter points where guys want to jack off to. So, I got to really sit down, like put my perverted cap on and tell them, to help them jack off, which is completely different. Why was I telling you? Sorry. Why was I telling you I was moving to LA? There was a reason, the difference between you guys and my generation.
What you had to do, like technology differences, because you're putting together DVDs and we're just having people create their own whole OnlyFans business with just their cell phone.
I guess that's where I was going. God damn it!
Maybe.
I hate when
Maybe.
I do that.
think
Anyway, I moved down there and it just seemed like it's so weird. You guys have social media, but you guys seems to be way more isolated, that have way less meaningful relationship, because to me, I don't know you two. I just met you guys. I'm glad at least you have stand-up where you have high school 2.0 thing kind of going. I know sometimes you have a shitty show. Fucking audience are rude. They're loud. But at least if you have a close few friends, it's manageable. You could suffer through stand-up, But if you don't have that, it's a really tough and isolating job. When you start going road, some middle of nowhere, especially things that are going well,
Yeah.
you're stuck in some commercial hotel with nothing to do during the day. It can be really isolating,
I feel that it's definitely like at this point where we're at, it feels like a third space. Like it feels like just going out to the bar, going out to, like that is where we go to hang out with other people and like get our interaction.
Yeah, and you could get scholarship for dancing. You could get scholarship for painting. You could get scholarship for singing and, all kinds of performance art. Stand-up comedy is one of the few things. There's no such thing as scholarship for college. Dancing, you name it. Every possible performance, you could probably find scholarship. And this is something you don't take classes or you have somebody being a teacher and training you. You just kind of learn hard way. Like, you just make so much mistake in the beginning.
Yeah.
You don't even know what works, And then in addition to that, you have to be your own manager to how to monetize it, which I have never learned to do, I'm lucky that sometimes I get to work with in the past I worked with Jim Norton for years with David Tell and Russell Peters and Pablo Francisco and a bunch of other big comics. I worked a couple of shows with Norm Macdonald and, so kind of lucky, but it's kind of embarrassing after all this years still struggling money-wise, So I think you guys could learn how to do it correctly, but learn to monetize it like social media. I think that's really important.
Yeah,
It's really important. You don't want to be my age and like, fuck, I'm going to pay rent or retirement. You know, it's really scary.
yeah,
That's real.
Well, that was a lot of the idea behind the podcast too, is trying to, because you want to start and you want to try to create a fan base based off your person. It's it's the whole thing that made Rogan really blow up. Anybody or Theo Von that's had a really good podcast, it usually ends up blowing up for their stand up too, because people just like him as a person even. And when it's like someone that you've listened to that much, like some of those guys, like a lot of the reason I got into stand up is because I love comedy podcasts so much. And so, like how you were saying earlier, we have the internet, so we have access to all kinds of education. Like going back and listening to those episodes, listening to Joey Diaz, listening to Tom Segura talk about doing comedy, Mark Norman, you kind of get that education and like, okay, what do I need to do? Where do I think I need to be at this point in my career? And just refer back to those things almost like they're the Bible, because it worked out for all those people.
Yeah, but you know what's so strange hearing this from you guys? Except for Mark Norman, I know all those guys, right? And like when I know them for so long, but there was a period they were just open micers or whatever. It's just astonishing to me that people know them. Like I was in Greece. I go to Athens, Greece a lot because I have friends over there. Second to last trip I went, the guy working behind a counter made a 2 and 2 and like, wait, do you know Joey Diaz? Somehow he figured out I knew him. I didn't even tell anybody I do stand-up, whatever. But it's so strange. Once I kind of reluctantly told him, like, it's shocking how much he knows about that guy, and the podcast really has changed people. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you know a lot of people with shitty jobs. The kind of job where you're alone, you have hours by yourself, like truck driving or something. Those people listen to a lot of podcasts. Yeah. People with shitty jobs listen to a lot of pods,
He used to drive
truck. Well, I used to be a local route salesman after I found out my back was too bad to be on a tugboat.
Yeah.
And then Hurricane Ida came through. A tree fell on the house that I was renting, so I had to move back home. And I got a job in my small town where I'm from instead of like where I'd moved to. It's kind of a more city area. I was having fun with people my age. Moved back there. I'm sleeping on my brother's couch, and I have to wake up at 6 o'clock every morning, sometimes even earlier than that, to go get in a propane truck and deliver propane to people's houses and different businesses and stuff. And I mean, that was just miserable. But I listen to podcasts all the time.
Does it give you a little bit of hope? Listen to podcasts.
It feels good, especially when someone says something like, and I can be like, oh, that's very relatable. Like something you said about like billionaires basically like trapping us, something you mentioned in a recent clip. But something you said, I was like, oh, I've been thinking that. And it's really cool that someone else also thinks that.
I think so the reason I talk about them because when you work in porn, you meet a lot of weird people, odd situations, So I met some billionaires, right? And when you meet them, they're very polite to me. I'm not rude to them. And but you know what? They strikes me. They're almost like those mini gods in the Greek mythologies.
Yeah.
And when they make a shitty decisions, everybody in the bottom suffer for the consequence, right? Like even like powerful as like a Greek god Zeus, the most powerful god in the Greek mythology, he's fucking horny as shit. So he go after women and things like that, cause all kinds of problem for the regular folks like us.
Yeah.
So I think there's tendency to think everybody's rational, but most people are not always rational all the time. And whenever they make terrible gamble or terrible financial decision, and if things doesn't go right, the regular people suffer from that. Yeah. That's why I'm so critical about them. I have a exception. Like I think Elon Musk overall, I think he's a decent human being, and the fact that we as a comedian are free speech supporters, and he is a supporter of that. And also he's on Joe Rogan's pod, By the way, Joe was already million and famous even before pod.
We grew up with Fear Factor and stuff too, and he was famous well before that, but I just wasn't alive for it.
He's a wonderful guy, and if we use Greek mythology reference, Joe Rogan's like Odysseus, like a not God, but he's reaching almost like a superhero you know, it's like such an exceptional
I mean,
human
anyway, that
being.
powerful, like to open up the mothership, like, and
Yeah.
and even like billionaires in general being gods, like they're always surrounded by like a host of attendants. They have people who,
Sure.
like, whenever the president of France came here a few years ago or a few months ago, they
To New Orleans?
Yeah, to New Orleans.
Because
They-
there's some French connection, isn't it?
Yeah, they do like what is it? Hospitality trips,
Yeah.
and they like covered up all the potholes, and like so in this guy's wake, the city just got a little nicer for a second. And
They
then,
just did that in San Francisco when Premier Xi showed
Yep.
up, and they moved all the homeless people and things like that. Yeah, interesting place, Louisiana, because I think you still have Napoleonic Code as one of the laws. You know, this is under the French control at one point, but
Yeah.
although I forgot. I completely missed. I guess I don't even remember the Prime Minister of France was visiting. But
Yeah.
there is a lot of French shit here.
a lot of
Yeah,
French shit. And
we
Spanish
have
shit.
we have parishes instead of counties. We're the only state in the whole United States that has that.
What was the term that they use?
Parish,
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's a French thing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a French. It's
like
didn't
a
know
French
that.
/
They don't have-
Catholic. Yeah,
Ah.
Catholic. It's like a diocese or whatever in the
That's
Catholic
right.
Church, something like that.
Yeah, so I just want, you know, during COVID, I'm not trying to be funny, but COVID was particularly good. It was a good thing for me, you know, because I like to travel, and traveling was so cheap. I mean, it was just insanely cheap. And if you want to make a last minute change in an airplane ticket, they didn't penalize you, you know. And I was traveling all over the country, and I have to admit, I didn't like those riots. You know, I'm a pretty, relatively speaking, more fan of law and order, you know.
Yeah.
But every time these kids were like fucking burning their city down, I don't like it. I think there's a racial issues, but it's grossly exaggerated if you factor in the nation of 350 360 million people, right? Because every time you see something terrible on television, I have to say 99% of others have no issue doing that shit, right? So, but I have to say one thing where I think young people are angry. I think you guys should be angry for the way the system's set up. You guys are one of the first generation Americans doing worse than your parents. It's becoming more and more clear to me.
yeah.
That it's
Well, that's a lot to do with the opioid crisis too. A lot of kids our age. I've personally had one of my good friends pass away from opioids, from doing heroin and stuff, and I've had many other people in my community pass away from my communities.
I mean,
ridden with it.
pharmaceutical companies definitely have their role in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, like-
So I mean, with that, you know, going to college isn't necessarily the best route nowadays as far as getting a job that's going to really make you money for kids in this area. I would say, like how a lot of my friends went to the tugboats. They went there because they knew that
They need a
starting
job.
out,
Yeah.
they're going to get paid almost $200 a day
Yeah.
when they're on hitch, and then when they're back home, they're home for a whole week. And then eventually it works up to, one of my friends makes like almost $600 a day now,
Yeah.
riding on the boat. He's an engineer, and
But that gap is still opening up. Like 600, it's not gonna be enough to like ever probably own a lot of property. You know.
oh, it adds up. When
It
you
does
work
add
your
up.
way up, dude, those cats make some money.
Yeah, I'm just talking like for the average person. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
average
Well,
person our age like has no real. They don't see a possibility of owning a home.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
true. And you know, like even sometimes you get in yourself in a financial situation, you have to file for bankruptcy. Student loan is one of those things you cannot file bankruptcy against. Our president made sure that happened, and you know, President Biden's from Delaware, and a lot of credit card companies are there.
Yeah.
So, and believe me, I'm not trying to take side because there's special interests on both sides. But the thing that I've been really sensitive about is a lot of people hate poor people in this country. Mm-hmm. They really fucking hate poor people.
Yeah.
And
Because you have to interact with them. You don't have to interact with billionaires. If you were able to see a billionaire walking around,
Yeah.
living their life, they hide themselves really well.
And even like solid upper middle class people, they probably hate poor people too. But Norman Lear, do you know who that is?
That name's familiar.
Yeah, I was about to say the name's
I
familiar.
feel like I'm gonna feel stupid for not knowing.
No,
it.
no, no, no. You shouldn't feel stupid because I know it because I'm fucking old. I'm fucking old. But Norman Lear was pushing 100 years old, if not 100. But he was one of the greatest comedic mind and writer. He did a show called All in the Family, which was a big show about guy named Archie Bunker, who is a white guy, conservative, borderline racist. He's always arguing with his son-in-law about social issues, and this was such a big, relevant show. But that was one of the few shows where they present poor people on television. And there's a couple other like sequels within Norman Lear made. But after that, you have like Roseanne, who put poor people in sympathetic light. But other than that, only time you see poor people on television, like when you have Jerry Springer, you ridicule poor people.
Yeah.
Where these people need help. And every time you watch television show these days, like you have Succession, where you are sympathetic to this billionaire son, or if you see like House of Dragon, where this royal family, right? But you don't really have a fair, sympathetic portrayal of poor people because and when it makes me really, really sad when I see poor white kids fighting poor black people, like BOM MAGA rallies, because at the end of the day, they have more common than difference. That's the sad thing when they're fighting each other.
Right.
I think the powers that be are very good at turning us against each other.
100%.
Yeah.
I think
Well, and a
it's
lot of
definitely
it.
a lot of like issues that the Conservative Party of America was pro choice up until the 80s.
Yeah.
And then they made a hard switch into anti-abortion to create division.
They get vote from the Southern Christian and whatnot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I'm not, to be fair, I'm not pro-abortion either.
That's fine.
But I don't want to force somebody to have a baby either. But I
complex issue.
feel uncomfortable with the whole.
It just wasn't a conversation until the
Yeah.
80s. It was.
People use cultural wars to stay away from real issue, which is, where does the money go?
It go to four dudes.
To the firmament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It goes to Jeff Bezos and his giant drill that he's going to take to the center of the
All
earth.
those
or
guys,
whatever.
yeah. And I know, to me, I hate war. I mean, for obvious reason. I don't think most people support war. But war is basically transfer of wealth. They're taking a bunch of money from average Americans and say we're going to certain whatever that country A, B, C this time to provide liberty and democracy. I don't know those people ask for it, but we send our soldiers, and these kids are usually poor kids from Mississippi, Alabama, you name it, poor kids from all over America, and they get fucked up. They come home, they're on opioids. This whole circle is like, it's the same shit 20 years ago. And the same shit 20 years before that.
And it's going to keep doing it because
Yeah.
it makes so much money.
There's just so
Have
much
you seen
money
the
in war.
money?
If you make money in war, you don't care which side you're supporting.
Yeah.
You're support of wars.
Yeah, you have to just be evil in general to like really look at a situation and be like, if we drop this number of bombs, we get this amount of money. And
Yeah.
thinking, okay.
I think a lot of it is too is like we've kind of been made like brought to the point to where like I guess our generation is probably angry at the older generations for
Rightfully
letting
so.
it get to this point.
Yeah.
And so that's why they like to speak out. Me personally, looking back on my life, my political views when I was 18 and old enough to vote and
Yeah.
now are pretty different, and maybe not so because I don't really try to think about it a lot.
Sure.
I try to, think about things that it's affecting my life.
Yeah.
But it's getting to the point to where what they're doing is actually going to probably affect my life.
And your family, your friends.
Yeah, and it makes you scared and a little upset and a little irate. Like I'm not very happy with our president. And I'll say this, I didn't vote for him the first time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't. And I don't plan on voting for him again.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't know what's the solution, but
we were just talking about this earlier. Like in the primary, it's looking like it's going to be Trump versus Biden again, which is kind of insane to me with how old they are and how. It's the only. It's weird that that's the only inevitability I could see is that race, Trump versus Biden.
Well,
again,
I will say this: we'll see, because we are definitely into some strange year coming up in 2024. You know, I forgot. Sorry, I'm probably not going to say this right. So there's a guy named Will Arbery, if I'm saying his name right. He's a playwright, right? I go see a lot of theaters and whatnot, and his father is there's a very famous Catholic school in Wyoming, and it's a very conservative school, and his father teaches there. Very serious guy, very smart guy, teaching conservative Catholicism, things like that. Will Arbery is a very famous playwright, but he also worked on Succession, which is a show on HBO about this billionaire son and their kid, billionaire and their kids fighting over his empire. And Arbery wrote this play called Heroes of Fourth Turning. I'm probably not saying
Heroes of the Fourth Turning. I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's a kind of famous play. And what was interesting about this play, it's about 3 or 4 of these Catholic characters a day before election of 2016, and they thought Hillary's going to win. Anyway, these conservatives people are talking about the world and what's going to happen. Something interesting happened. Most theater goers in New York City and within 150 miles of that city tend to be more liberal. New York Times readers, you know, they tend to be liberal. They watch the play. They love the play. They're listening to 4 characters who are traditionally conservative, not like them, probably don't even like those people. They were very sympathetic to them. And then conservative critics love the show too. It's really weird when you have 2 groups of people who traditionally don't like each other, don't interact with each other, but this particular art made those 2 groups kind of brought them together. The Fourth Turning it's based on this theory, Strauss and Hughes, I think. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong, but there's a theory that every 80 to 100 years, something traumatic and incredible happened in the United States. So let's say 80, because most people don't live 100, but like 80 years. Mm-hmm. So, you know, most people probably live around 80 years, right? So 80 years before 2024 is basically very tail end of World War II. 80 years before that is very much tail end of American Civil War. Mm-hmm. And 80 years ago before that is exactly 80 on the date end of a Revolutionary War. So it seems like if we remotely believe in this theory, maybe we're kind of due for something dramatic to happen. I'm not saying...
I think whatever it is probably starting right now.
I'm not saying it has something election. I have no, because I don't want to predict anything, but it sounds like we're kind of due, just like California, they're due for like a huge earthquake, right? Now, I think one of you messaged me. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
I think that was me.
So you asked me about the serial killer stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
So 2024, maybe something weird happened. Next month, such interesting month. So January 4th, which is around the corner.
Yep.
January 4th, 1974, which is 50 years ago, Ted Bundy committed his first murder. Okay.
Damn.
11 days after that, which is January 15th, 1974, also 50 years, Dennis Rader, a.k.a. BTK Killer, in Wichita, Kansas, committed his first murder. He killed Otero family. He killed father and mother and son and a daughter. So that was the same month. And then I think John Wayne Gacy committed his second murder. 1974 was like top 3 or 4, like a serial killer year.
Whoa. The ancient Mayans and Aztecs believe in like 50-year cycles for a lot of their things.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll see some.
I mean, it's kind of weird because even I follow that stuff and I thought, wow, that's weird that they both commit their first murder in the same month. And 74 was a really interesting year because, you know, we were going through President Nixon's Watergate, so he's getting ready to resign. The height of a fucking Vietnam War. There is like a line for people getting gasoline because hyperinflation, and people are having a hard time getting gas because OPEC is fucking us
Yeah.
over oil and things like that. And there's all these murders. You know, there's like the Casanova killer, and there was a I forgot the African American serial killer, but he was a prolific. He killed like between 16 to 100 people. That started in 74 too. So
It's
I don't know what's going on, but I anticipate 2024 will be pretty wild ride, I would imagine.
Yeah,
I hope not, but it seemed like it's going to be like that because of the election.
it's very interesting to see how mass murder has evolved in popularity over time. Like
True crime, like top 10
true crime, and
podcast
also
is a
like
true crime.
the way the crimes themselves have shifted,
Yeah.
like towards more mass shootings and
Yeah.
like that sort of thing. Would you say that serial killers have fallen out of favor? Like, are there any active ones right now you know about?
Okay, this is a very good question. Serial killers and the active shooters a little different. Because in theory, serial killer like to kill them and continue to kill them and not get caught. Mass shooters, I think, usually they already made a decision. They're not going to live beyond that day,
Yeah.
and that's why they kill. And usually they get killed by the cops or shoot themselves. You know, so I think it's a little different. I'm not an expert in it. They say that I was born in 1969. They say that around late 60 to I think 2000. It's like the golden age of serial killing. I don't know if it's 2000 or early 90s, but it's around that range,
Yeah.
right? And the reason why people think there isn't as many serial killers because I think so many more people listen to like true crime podcasts
Yeah.
and they read so many books about it and study it. I think it's easier to catch them. But inversely, serial killers read those books too. So I think they learn how not to get caught either.
Yeah, the smart ones are really switching up the arts.
Like Dennis Rader, aka BTK Killer, he is such a student of serial killer history, So any given moment, there's a guy named Gene Clemente. I think he's a FBI former profiler. He's on Orny Adams, very funny comic. His podcast all the time. But they're saying between like 35 to 50 serial killers any given moment in the United States.
Whoa.
Like they caught
That makes sense.
They caught Rex Hellerman over the March, April, May this year. He is the Long Island serial killer, and they caught that kid in Idaho. I don't know if you should call him serial killer because serial killer tend to be they had 2 incidents or more and killing
And
more
he
than
only
one
had
person.
2?
He killed 4 or 5 students.
Okay.
Yeah.
That counts.
But there's a rumor that there might be active serial killers in Portland. So any given moment, maybe they're so much smarter, so they're killing people, but people don't even realize this is a serial killer's work.
Yeah.
So there's like, it's like you guys get football reference. You're a quarterback. You're watching the defensive back. You're kind of trying to catch each other. Now, quarterback they know what the defensive backs are doing, but defensive back also know they know the quarterback tendencies. So cops and the serial killer,
It becomes a game that they can
there's a cat and mouse, and I
Yeah.
think it's harder to detect one.
I think that also comes back to like people having like power and like you were talking about how billionaires walk around like gods. I think that kind of serial killer makes someone feel that way, and it kind of turns them that way because they're this roving news story that like that's has the power to that's killing people.
Yeah, I went to. I'm sure you're familiar with Bernie Madoff, right? Like 10 years ago
Yeah.
or whenever I went to his house in New York, and what's funny is his home is not that only 4 blocks from Jeffrey Epstein's home. I've been there
Yeah.
many times.
You went inside?
No, I wish I would love to go, but 9 East 71st Street, New York. I've been to the house like literally 100 times.
That's awesome. I got to see inside. They were moving a giant granite countertop.
Wait. You were in New York City?
I was in New York City with my friend Chris, and we were actually walking home after work, and he was like, "Oh yeah, he works for Blue Man Group," and we were like walking around seeing sights, and he was like, "Do you want to see Jeffrey Epstein's house?" And we saw it. We were just walking past it.
Oh my!
And the
See,
doors
that's
were
why I
wide
love
open.
talking about this shit because somebody will say, "I know that person's serial killer's brother."
Yeah.
So you've been inside.
No, I got to poke my head inside. I had to keep walking. I just got like a glimpse of like.
But
it
your
was a
friend
grand
worked.
foyer back to the courtyard.
Wait. So your friend.
My friend worked for Blue Man Group.
Okay, so it's a movie company, right?
Yeah, they do shows. They have a residency on Broadway.
Oh, Blue Man Group.
Yeah.
Wait. So he's one of the performer?
No. He does repair. He like repairs all their goofy tools.
Okay.
He's an awesome
so
dude.
what's his? Wait, this is so exciting. What is his connection with the house?
He just knew where it was. He just had an interest, and we were walking around the city. I only had 3 days in the city, so he wanted to show me like cool stuff that he found. And he
Yeah,
was
but
like,
how were you able to go in, look inside?
we didn't.
Oh, okay.
So we were walking past the house.
Yeah.
I see that the doors are wide open, and
It was?
Yeah, and they're moving a granite countertop. So they have people like they have guards out there, but we're able to like.
When was this?
This was this summer. Probably around like August, early August. But yeah, I saw inside.
Some rich guy bought the house at a heavy discount.
That's exactly what they were doing. They were moving out.
Well, you got closer than I ever did. I would love to see the fucking house. I've been to every one of his homes except for the pedophile island, but I went to every single one of them.
Wow.
Paris, places in Wisconsin, Palm Beach down in Florida, the ranch in fucking New Mexico, you name it, and Ghislaine Maxwell's house as well.
I mean,
in
I
London.
can't tell you much about the house other than that it had high ceilings. You know.
So you guys both kind of peeked in your head inside.
Yeah. So they were like, keep it walking.
That's what that's saying?
So we kind of get a glimpse like that. We saw into his foyer, and then there was a big glass wall into like a courtyard with greenery inside.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long were you able to look inside?
A second. Like.
And somebody yelled at you guys?
No, they were just standing there, and we didn't want to like be rude.
Oh, I see.
We weren't like trying to find the painting of Bill Clinton or anything.
I thought for a second like you knew the movers. He said, "Hey, this is a job."
No, I wish I was.
I
that
wish.
cool to, like,
Yeah.
slip someone 100. And fucking,
No, but you saw something I've never seen. I really love to go see that shit because when you go to the double door, they have this like a Greek kind of like a mythological statue on top of it. What I've been told on the first floor, the first window, that room, I was told, I don't know if it's true, that's where he's supposed to keep all his recording devices for video and audio if people are doing some sex with underage kids or something.
Wow.
Or I don't know if it's true, but that's been speculated, you know? And
that's where the bug drawer was.
so, yeah, fuck, I would have loved to see it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What are those other houses like? Because I don't really have a thing for like celebrity houses. I don't seek them out, but I just had the opportunity.
Well, it's interesting because from that house, about block eastbound, it's a house called 740 Park Avenue, and they made a documentary called 740 Park Avenue because they have the richest people in New York City supposedly living in that house. They even made a documentary about it, and I know Anderson Cooper, you know the guy from CNN?
Yeah.
His mother is Gloria Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt's a very famous,
Yeah, the Vanderbilt.
as
Yeah,
in
yeah.
like tycoon.
Whoa, like okay. That makes sense.
He's connect. That's his
Of course.
mom, and Vanderbilt's great. You know, it's one of the barons of like Carnegie's and Vanderbilt. You name it, all those rich people. And she lived there. And if you go Wichita, you have the Koch brothers. And sure enough, I think it's John or Dave Koch have a place in that. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, that the resident have give you permission to buy a place there too. So there's plenty of other rich people that couldn't live there. But that's only block off. Another block east of that is Woody Allen lives there. And then 4 or 5 blocks south from that area is Ghislaine, Bernie Madoff. So
Damn.
Upper East Side is cluster of new money and old money, But these are like literally demigods because they're so much rich than us.
Yeah, they
And
have
if
their hives that they live in.
Yeah. There must be a good
Their
park
compounds.
around.
And then 740 Park Avenue, the very top penthouse is owned by one of these hedge fund or investment banking CEOs. And when President Bush was running for second time, he literally had to go to that penthouse and beg for money.
Wow.
So you have a fucking president coming to you for money, right? So
Yeah.
tremendous amount of wealth, Upper East Side, and these people have just unbelievable amount of influence in our life, both good and bad, Because I don't want to say Koch brothers are all evil because
Yeah.
they hire 140,000 people, I think, worldwide. That's a job for people so they could support their family. Jobs are always good for family. Jobs are pro-family. I
Yeah.
get it. But these are so fucking powerful, you know. And
That reminds me. I have a story. This might get me in a little bit of trouble, but one of my first production jobs
yeah.
was a movie called The Burial. It's on Amazon.
Which one?
The Burial.
Okay.
It's got Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones in it.
Okay.
And the director.
Great actors.
Yeah, they're great. The director of the movie, had only directed one other movie before.
Yeah.
And I just looked her up out of curiosity on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And of course, her dad's name was Blue. Had a little link attached.
Yeah.
Found out it was one of the best friends of George W. Bush and the owner of Chelsea Piers in New York. Robert Betts,
Okay.
I believe. George Betts.
Okay.
But he's the owner of Chelsea Piers, and I just happened to have to work under the umbrella of this Nepo baby who
Yeah.
just decided that she wanted to make a movie. And it was very interesting being in an office space with that kind of connection.
And,
to,
and
like-
wealth and power, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. I had to drive her around, and one of the other producers on the show who I
Is
had
she
to
pretty?
drive around. She's all right.
Yeah. So, and you know, you don't want to be mad because it's not their fault that they're born to rich family either.
Yeah.
But it is insane how much opportunity and how many times they could make a mistake and it's okay. They could recover from it, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't blame Hunter Biden. If I was president's son, I'll be, I guess, same way.
I'd be part of
again.
it too. I don't think I could have the willpower to not be
Yeah.
like that. I don't know.
But it's insane, the opportunities, and you just watch them like, Jesus Christ, who, your dad's who? Your mother's do what in Hollywood? You know,
yeah, your sphere of influence is just different, you know.
on the same token, you know, if your parents did something terrible, you have to take a responsibility for them, you know.
Yeah.
Like you get blamed for something that your parents did.
Because, I mean, your parents do one thing wrong and 40,000 people lose their jobs potentially, or like something like that, like where there's real weight to the fuck ups.
Yeah. Did you get the 40,000 by Big Short? That's the
Yeah,
number.
exactly. That's exactly
the
the
number
quote.
I got. They were saying like every 1% that unemployment go up, potentially 40,000 people. I don't know if that's the right number, but it is pretty clear when people lose jobs, bad things happen.
Yeah.
The quote is every 1% unemployment goes up, 40,000 people die.
And so when these motherfuckers do something really selfish and reckless financial decision, we take the blunt of that, you know. That's why I resent these people. Now, when they make a good decision, create jobs, I have no issue you making 5 billion, 20 billion. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think Theranos would have worked if we just gave them more money?
It's funny you asked that. Did you go through my Instagram or something? Or
No, I just was thinking about Theranos. It got me on-
because I saw her at the sentencing.
Really?
Yeah, Elizabeth Holmes. I saw that, and I went to that case. I went to SBF recently with the cryptocurrency guy in New York.
Oh, so you have your finger on the pulse of
Yeah.
bad people.
What was Danny Masterson's trial like?
Okay.
Because that's what I'm interested in.
You know what's so crazy about that one? It's in LA County, downtown LA. So I went there. So you take the elevator and you go to 9th floor, if I remember right. So as soon as you get out, all this metal detector, they check your bag and stuff. Of course, you have to do that. But but right by the metal detector, across from you down the hallway is double doors. And I didn't know at the time that behind that double door is where they had that O.J. Simpson trial years ago, early mid-90s, right? So you could go down the hallway after metal detector, double door. They were not using the worm. If you turn right, you went to Harvey Weinstein's case. If you turn left, it's Danny Masterson's case, right? So there was like a lot of raping air out there, right? Like, there's like rape, right? So I went to the room with
really hard to pick up chicks?
I went to Harvey. I just look at him. I know the guy's a scumbag. Now, do I believe every one of those women accusing him? I do not believe every single one of them. But he's clearly guilty. But he looks so sad that at one point he had so much power. He's just like a chubby guy with a bad haircut now. But if you go other side, I didn't go to the courtroom, but I saw Danny Masterson, his wife, and she is still so hot. She's beautiful. Yeah. I didn't say anything to them. I just said, hey, hello to her, and she's very, very sweet. What is your impression about the guy? Because you guys are younger, because you probably have a better eyes for these things.
So
Why are you so interested in Danny Masters? I'm curious about that one.
well, because our generation got to binge watch that 70s show.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a show like it would be on Nick at Night. So you'd be up kind of watching whatever that was on Nickelodeon at first, and then that 70s show would come on. And by that time, you kind of fell asleep, but you noticed it every time it was on TV.
Sure.
And then you get to the point where you can binge watch. You're like, oh, I'm a little bit older now. I can watch the shows from Nick at Night.
Okay.
And you kind of, you fall into it and you like it a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I don't know necessarily the stipulations of the whole case, if he did do it, I would have to blame a lot of that on probably just self-corruption and destruction that Hollywood brings towards a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because that just seems to be what happens with a lot of people, is that they get wrapped up in the hot tub parties and the money and the drugs and stuff like that. And I'm sure it's all fucking a good time or whatever. I've just never been interested really in getting into hard drugs or anything like that. So my drive is a little bit different, I guess. But he always seemed pretty cool from the show, which, I mean, he's playing a role.
Sure.
His job is to be likable. So whenever you does something crazy, you think.
I think 70s show to you, what, like to me, because of my age category, like Gilligan, Three's Company or something like that, like it's one of those shows like you don't really have to watch previous episode to understand what's going on.
Right.
So I get it. I'm not really familiar with the show, but I did some basic kind of read up, but not really detail compared to say Harvey, especially like Ghislaine's case. Like I read through a lot of that shit. According to my friends who spend a lot of time in it, and my friends are not like careless people, and one of them is an attorney. What he told me, it does sound like he's guilty of it. Now, here's the thing. It's very puzzling for like an average person like myself. Okay, you're very famous. You're a millionaire. You probably could have found willing girl to have sex with you. Or because you're rich, you get hookers. But it's not about that. Mm-mm. I'm sure they're damaged some way. Something happened in their childhood. And they're somehow reacting to something happening to them. So they rather want to bother and force themselves on these girls, which is not cool at all. But it's just like, you look at like Harvey, like, you're so rich, you could get hookers so easy. You have all the money to do that. And Bill Cosby too. But I don't think it's about that. It's about something is not right with them for them to force themselves,
Yeah. I think a lot of times money can do that, or money can bring that out of someone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to know what these people would have done if they didn't have money and didn't have the access and stuff that they had.
If they didn't have the money, if they were trying to do this, they would have gone to jail a long time.
Yeah.
But with the money, you would think they could get therapy or get... But, I go back and forth on this. Like, at the end of the day, none of us here are rapists, so we don't really think like a rapist. But it is very fascinating. Like, this is also unnecessary.
When you're especially to
and
be
also when you reach that level of mania, do you think any kind of therapy would actually work on anyone? Like maybe like high numbers of like ketamine therapy or something like that could possibly source out whatever is triggering that person. But I mean, like, it's got to be pretty hard to like not go through with your desires, I guess.
Yeah, when you're used to everything handed to you, you want more and more, and you end up probably going to a dark place.
I think, I think you do those things because you're always in a dark place. But I think when you're that powerful and rich, because I had people like that in my life with a lot of money and power, and like most people don't tell them no and stuff, I think you get kind of used to that. And I think it takes tremendous amount of self-awareness. Like, hey, you know what? This is not right. I need to get help. Most people are not going to do that, So you're right. In theory, if they're willing to get help, they have time and resource to do that. You're absolutely right. But if they don't have that awareness and willingness to do that, I guess they're not going to do it until it's too fucking late.
Yeah, and if they were really accepting of like therapy and help at first, I'd be like, I don't believe your intentions behind this. I think you're just trying to like like get out of it almost. Because like to be that devious to do something like that, to plan out to drug somebody and then take advantage of their unconscious body.
Yeah.
You have to be a pretty sick individual to the point of you're ready to manipulate, and that's what your life is.
Yeah.
Having a lot of like influence and power from a young age, especially, like a lot of these people are born into like huge amounts of money and accumulate more throughout their careers. Having just always being used to that level of influence has got to do something to like the developing mind to definitely fuck these people up. I don't know if it's that or if they were just going to be fucked up no matter what, but I think definitely interesting to see how money affects people's development.
You know, I used to have friends working for Tonight Show under Jay Leno, so I went probably 8-9 years. You know, I always had access if I asked. You know, and I remember seeing a bunch of famous people there, obviously, and I think I saw Justin Bieber one time, and I'm sure he got in trouble. You know, when you're young, we all do stupid shit, but it seemed like he got his act together. And frankly, even the time he got in trouble, you got to remember, like, he was such a young kid. And all of a sudden, you're famous. You have all
he's
that
all
kind
about
of money.
Jesus now.
Huh?
He's all about Jesus now.
And it's nice that he's married. Seems to have a very good relationship. As far as I'm concerned, it seemed like it's a nice marriage.
Yeah.
And it's nice to hear, like, he worked really hard. He's taking care of his family. He did some stupid shit. We all do retarded shit when you're young. But it's amazing how well he has turned into a adult, knowing how much fame and money that he has, you know? Like, I think he did a really good job.
Yeah, I think he saw what happened with, like, Lindsay Lohan and people like that.
Yeah.
And he kind of...
And she's not a bad person either.
No, not a bad person, but did not have an ideal things happen.
Like Amanda Bynes.
Amanda Bynes, for sure.
She got messed up really bad. And you can see... with Britney Spears, it's a weird case. Have you ever really looked much into that with the
conservatorship?
With the conservatorship at all?
I know little knowledge, but my impression was her dad seemed like a scumbag.
So her dad is from a place. They're from Kentwood, Louisiana, which is probably
from the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's literally like a gas station and a railroad track. And a Piggly Wiggly, like a small market. It's a really.
By the way,
small
I didn't know
place.
about Piggly Wiggly until when I went to North Carolina a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
yeah,
we love it.
It's just like. It is a good place to go get meat. But besides that, I mean, and so my family, my mom's family, in case Britney Spears' family ever hears this, I'm not going to reveal who it is necessarily.
Yeah.
But was best friends with Britney Spears' dad in high school.
Oh, wow.
And has been good friends with him for a long time.
Yeah.
And he is, in fact, a drug addict and probably just a white trash asshole.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. And, you know, she probably got a little fucked up from being so famous from such a young age. I mean, like, from such a young age. But you see people that literally grew up right beside her, like Justin Timberlake and who else was on the
Mickey Mouse
Musketeers?
Club.
Yeah, or whatever.
Ryan Gosling, all those people.
All those people kind of came up and, like, they're kind of fine. You know what I mean? Like, they seem okay. Now we don't know what's going on behind closed doors with those people. I don't know them personally, but they seem pretty nice and genuine and fun.
I'm really bad with music. I don't know anything, but my impression of Britney Spears, like, she seemed like a very sweet girl. And I think if she act maniac or like weird, I don't blame her because I can't imagine having that kind of fame. Yeah. I can't imagine having that kind of success and money and stuff. And people are always trying to use you. It would drive anyone crazy. But my impression is anytime even her former boyfriend saying something nasty about her, she's such a dignified and gracious person. I never really heard her say anything nasty about anyone. No. And that's got to be the Southern charm and like a good, you know, like people are nice down
really
here.
Humble beginnings.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Even now that she's out of her conservatorship and has presumably more free speech.
Yeah.
Well, they've been dosing her with lithium for like over 15 years. That's one of her antipsychotic meds that she's been forced to be on.
Yeah, I'm not going to marry her. I wish just like people just leave her alone, and I just want her to be happy.
Leave Britney alone.
But it's just like, I mean, honestly, did she really have a normal childhood? When you're that famous,
not at all.
and everybody's sexualized. I'm guilty of it too, because first time I saw it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, those dance videos, you know.
Yeah.
What's funny, used to work for Evil Angel, one of the biggest gonzo porn. And if you don't know what gonzo porn means, is traditionally there are two kinds of porn. Feature film, there's actually a script with a story that goes around. Gonzo is basically there's no storyline. Usually the guy using the camera is part of the story and whatnot. Anyway, so I work one of the biggest and one of the historically most important gonzo porn company. Well, we used to have a guy named Gregory Dark, one of the porn director. He later on transitioned away from porn and made movies. Like he made a movie called Fear No Evil from WWE. And also he made a couple of Britney Spears music video. And later on she got in trouble because why would you hire porn guy as film, whatever. But it sells. I think if I would have known her when she was a young age, I got the feeling that she probably had a high moral, probably didn't lose virginity until she was a lot older, and good home. And she went to music video knowing that Hollywood and music business, they sexualize young people really on.
Yeah, she knew that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just part of you do that, especially because she was beautiful. She is still beautiful, but back then, my God, she was really gorgeous.
Oh, she was
girl.
top of the world.
Yeah.
She was like number one on the planet. I did want to ask you more about the porn industry. 'Cause
Sure.
that was interesting. I was gonna ask you like about people transitioning from porn into other things.
Sure.
Because I feel like there's a real connection. Like at the end of the day, anything like that is ultimately like telling a story the way a movie would, or the way something else would. And I feel like it kind of lends itself well to comedy.
Yeah.
I think like comedy sketches can be written in a similar way, I guess.
I mean, that connection I kind of make with the porn and comedy, because I those are the two worlds I dabble a lot last 20 plus years. It's that, well, in theory, one of the best comedians historically is somebody, either man or woman, who go up, tell you a lot of truth, but they do it by literally like really open themselves to some uncomfortable stuff, like so raw on stage, you know? Like, you know, Richard Pryor, I mean, that's obviously one of those kind of raw kind of thing. Mike DeStefano, who died like 12, 13 years ago, is another one, so fucking raw. When Bill Burr talked about his relationship with his dad at the Aspen Comedy Festival like 20 years ago, it's so sad because it's so fucking raw, you know? Those are porn people does it too, because porn people tend to be more honest and regular. I mean, they literally show their asshole to you and your pussy and your dick.
They don't really have
you're ejaculating in people's face. How much more, you know?
There's not room for secrets there.
Yeah, so they're kind of similar, but you know, it's like a porn star. I don't think porn stars any different than, say, somebody like wrestlers. You're literally damaging your body to entertain people, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who's in military, anyone who plays sports for a living, anybody who do real fucking job like oil rig or truckers, you know, they're literally, you know, like the boat job, you're literally destroying your body to earn your living, right? I mean, like it's a little like, I mean, they all have different degrees, but you're really, the poor people destroy their bodies. And I got fired from my porn business like 11 years ago. So I've been doing a lot of medical testing. You know, they try medication. I mean, I get locked up 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever. I'm ruining my body. So the rich people have a nice medication so they could live extra 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you know?
And that's a fucking whole different kind of way of selling your body. You don't know what they're...
Yeah, I mean, I get tested like a porn star, making sure our blood are all right and we don't have drugs and STD and things like that. But yeah, when you're poor, you really are service. I shouldn't be laughing, but we are just whores to rich people.
Yeah, you don't really have much choice. It's that or be fucking broke forever.
Yeah, and I know sometimes when I say this, people get mad, but you know, it's coming from a good place. Like, your mother's a whore, your mother's a whore, my mother's a whore. We are all whores because, you know, we all have to answer to someone or something.
Yeah, because what
Right.
happens when you're a virgin nerd? Your bloodline dies out, you know?
Yeah,
You got to
it-
do something
Even
interesting.
Elon Musk probably have to answer to someone or something, and if he doesn't, he's going to answer to time.
Yeah.
Because I don't care how rich you are, you're never going to be time. We are all going to
I don't know
fucking
what
die. You know.
I don't know
Yeah.
what's holding Elon Musk accountable, but it's not taxes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like him because on Rogan's pod he smoked weed, but he also told a bunch of rich people to go fuck yourself. Like you don't want to put advertisement in Twitter.
Yeah, that's his MO though. Like he did an appearance in like Iron Man 2. Like he definitely paints himself as being like the one that's good.
Yeah,
He definitely paints
I'm not
himself
saying
as,
he's
like,
perfect
the
everything,
rogue.
but I trust him more than any other billionaires. I'll tell you, because
Yeah.
he actually make money by making shit instead of this fucking hedge fund shit to fuck up everyone.
Yeah.
He built cars. You know, he does fly into spaceship. You know, like this is something that I could understand and appreciate. You know, so I'm cool with that. And he took Twitter account away from those liberal scumbags, and the whole point of free speech is like you don't censor no one. I support that guy in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's one of the good ones. You know, I'm sure I don't agree with everything, but
Well, and as far as like liberal people would obviously be the ones that are most mad at him at this point because he was like, you know, one of their top
Yeah.
guys because of the environmental movement.
Yeah.
And he was doing electric cars, but then he started voicing his opinions, and obviously he's rich as fuck, so he's gonna be
He's
more
gonna be okay no
inclined
matter
to be
what.
Republican.
yeah,
And some people would say, "Oh, there's billionaires that are liberal." Yeah, that's because they prop up that party. So
Yeah.
the success of that party, and it's all the same three just about, and they're putting their feet in everybody's water.
I just think whenever these liberal people, liberal billionaires say something, I just think you should be very cautious. You know, like
They have a stake
yeah.
somewhere in some game.
amen.
Most
Exactly.
of them are just like you said.
I think all billionaires
Elon
have to
Musk
have.
built shit. Most of these people that are like liberal billionaires are CEOs. They don't really own the company. They never had nothing to do with much of the development, and maybe they did.
Yeah.
Who knows? But it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's not like built from the ground up. It's not worked upon. So they're just in a position where like they're hired possibly because
Yeah.
of political views. Because they have those things. Like the president of Harvard. Are you telling me that lady is qualified? The most
Oh, yeah, is
qualified
that
person?
lady that caught with plagiarizing and
Yeah.
like it's unbelievable. How are you gonna flunk somebody or kick them out of the school if they got plagiarized when the president of Harvard's doing that shit?
Yeah, the three of our most prestigious universities and institutions in this country.
Yeah.
And then they all sat in that courtroom and said that calling for the genocide of Jews is not against, or they couldn't say that it was against
Yeah.
the code of conduct when it comes to bullying at those institutions, and they could not answer. They couldn't answer. They would not. It's not that they
Like-
couldn't. They would not.
Answer, yeah.
Billionaire and like ultra wealthy millionaire liberal is a different political party than working class liberal.
Yes.
And
I think
same with conservatives too. Like
I'm
they
sick
live-
of people saying like if
they
you
exist in
support
different universes.
Sorry to interrupt.
No,
You're right.
Sorry.
I just hate it when they say like if you support Trump you're racist. No they're not. It's poor people getting sick and tired getting fucked in the ass. And look, when Trump told a bunch of people in Pennsylvania, I'm going to bring job back to coal miners, they know that it's not coming back. But at least he's listening to their plight instead of Hillary, who was kind of say, fuck you, get over it. You know, like it just...
Yeah, she was just like, we're going to create new jobs, but didn't really specify anything and really didn't speak to any population. She just didn't really hone in on what that person wants to hear.
Yes, and she doesn't know how to talk to poor people. At least her husband, Bill Clinton.
Well, she's never had to.
He come from Hove, Arkansas. I went to his house like 2-3 years ago. He came from poor background, and no insult to President Obama, but honestly, I really think Clinton really was the first black president. He grew up poor white person, like really fucking poor. You know, his mother single parent, and she had a interesting reputation. So I think he understood the plight of the poor, unfortunately, once you become president, you always go back to catering to the rich people, which he did. You know, it's hard to win an election these days without money, and most of the money come from rich people.
Some would say it's never really been possible to win an election that way.
It's
if
very,
you
very
really
difficult.
Go back in time, like
Yeah.
even ancient, I mean not ancient, but our beginning presidents, however many 100 years ago, they still had like corporations like Sears Roebuck that had vested interest in.
There was also, I mean, not saying that which election was stolen and which election had fraud in
Yeah.
it, but election fraud is also right along with how long elections have been around. People have always thought there's got to be a way to get around it, though. There's got to be a way to get around it. It's
Yeah.
never just been straight up democracy in the
No.
republic.
Yeah.
I mean, any reasonable person who studied history know that most likely when Kennedy won 1960, that they probably most likely cheated, especially in Illinois. You know, you had, JFK and Bobby Kennedy. They were going after mobs, and they fucking hated them. So what did they do? They sent their good friend, and it also helps that Kennedy's father, Joseph Kennedy, asked Frank Sinatra to talk to on their behalf. Illinois mob, so they did it. So they got most of that vote in Illinois on the side of JFK. This kind of shit happened, and Nixon know that he was cheated too. But everybody know there's some kind of cheating on both ways historically. You know, there's never been perfectly 100% corruptionless vote. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
There's
Let's be
always been
honest here.
someone playing some sneaky game. Probably, and it's probably also both sides. It's just whoever plays
Yeah.
that game better.
yeah. I
that-
think liberal people think Republicans are all evil. I have news for them. Liberal Democrats are evil too.
Yeah, everyone can be evil. It
Yeah,
doesn't matter
yes.
who you are.
Yeah. Well, and
100%.
it all depends on your perception too.
Yeah.
Like everybody's got to like that's why I don't harbor hatred in my heart for people that live across the world that might have a bad idea about what America is or who I am
Yeah.
because I'm a white guy from
Yeah.
America or from anywhere. Is because like, and in their perspective, what the media's portrayed a person that looks like me is,
Yeah.
and what they've seen on TV or maybe what they've even encountered. Because, like you said, there's evil everywhere, and I've
And
come
there's good
face to
people
face with
everywhere.
all
Yeah.
of yeah.
Yeah.
But like, it is kind of hard. Like, even just like starting off in comedy,
Yeah.
a lot of people are really standoffish to you if you come in and you're kind of like a straight white comedian. Like they're like waiting for you to slip up
Yeah.
and say the wrong thing,
Yep.
and then they can decide, oh, I don't like them. Good. Now we can all decide we don't like them.
Which is ludicrous. I don't know how this shit happened, but
I don't understand how scenes stay alive with that. I don't think they really do.
Yeah. And thankfully with how I do comedy and my style,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more recently since I've gotten a little bit better at coming up with good premises.
sure.
I can have something that's a little bit edgier, I would say, but it's
Yeah.
never overtly offensive. And I always know that, and that especially if it's funny, it doesn't really matter. But my comedy is curated enough, and I don't dance around it. It's just what I actually think.
Sure.
Thankfully, no one's been just outright offended yet and hated me because of it.
Because reality is you don't really have control how people respond to what you say. Sometimes maybe they're legitimately right to be angry. Other times they're overreacting or seeing something when there's no problem there. As long as you don't have a malicious intent, even when they get mad, I don't think you should feel bad about that. And but some regions are more sensitive than others, and like I don't know what the fuck happened in Seattle, Portland, San Francisco area, but like, god damn, these people are like, I mean, sometimes my friends are like, you became conservative. No, I don't think I necessarily moved anywhere. You guys went far left. That's the problem, like, I don't like anybody trying to censor anyone. I'm until the day I die, I'm completely going to be against that.
Yeah.
You don't like something? Don't listen to it. Get out of the club.
Real.
Yeah.
And we have so much access to information, it's kind of easy to not like the government at all.
Yeah.
It's very
At this
easy.
point, and think so. That's why some people, possibly not rightfully so, because I don't necessarily believe in the ideas of communism, but some people would like to convert to that because it seems so much polar opposite to what's going on.
Yeah.
And they feel like the system's dried up, and maybe it is. Me personally, I don't know what I would rather.
Yeah.
I would kind of rather. I mean, it's never been just good throughout my childhood. I guess because I was a child, I'm just numb and
Yeah.
ignorant to the fact
Yeah.
of what's going on around me. But yeah, just I don't even know where I was going with that.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm on that commie path. I wouldn't say that at all.
Yeah.
But I do fuck with what's going on, like trying to organize a workplace, getting your workers together. Like that's a good move to do, and I think more of that would be nice.
We should have stopped at like trading furs for fruits and shit. Like we should have stopped there when they made that dirty ass.
We've had
currency.
banks and credit system for over 10,000 years.
But
like
it just seems
Assyria.
more honest to me to trade physical things for what their uses are. And I don't know, you kind of need some kind of governing body for that because you need different things from different places if you want everybody. But also, you might have to stick to what's regional. You know what I mean? Too much access to things and being in excess, that's kind of ruined a lot too.
Wait, so I got a little lost. You talking about trades right now?
Yeah, like small, like like almost
Bartering, like a barter system, or
like a libertarian
trades?
view.
Yeah.
Like we should be like just living around.
Yeah.
And now obviously you need things like, because like we were talking about earlier, there's serial killers.
Yes.
There's mass shooters.
Yes.
You do need plans
Yes.
and governing bodies for these kind of things to be pushed
Sure,
against.
we have to certain amount of government protecting us from public ill, injustice, and things like that. And
well, that's why I kind of envy places like Japan, to where like you don't necessarily have to worry about enough to where like you have to carry a gun. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe it's different. Maybe I don't know. But it seems like the people have a better moral standard than to like steal somebody's child off the sidewalk and stuff like that.
It's a very strange, because I was born and raised there, and there's many great things about Japan. There's many great things about United States, obviously. But whenever foreigners say how great Japan is, especially when they're visiting, whatever, it is great. But the reason why it's great is because you don't see all the behind the scenes shit where the whole country as a whole have to sacrifice to have that kind of stability. And it's great to a point, unless you're a little odd duck, and because you're so weird, the society feel like they need to almost forcibly or psychologically force you to change so you'll fit in. And that's a very uncomfortable proposition. Yeah. Whereas in the United States, we have such a huge tolerance for people being different and weird. You know, it's kind of nice that there's some kid just born weird, not doing anything bad, but we don't feel like the need to force that kid to change the way Japan. You know, so each place have definitely advantages and disadvantages. You know.
We got Comic-Con and stuff like that for weird people to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we also have
I go so many of those.
Adderall too for children who seem to be too rambunctious.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do prescribe them drugs to change their brains.
I mean, like, not to like, I'm not knocking my little brother. I think he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders, but he's been on Adderall since he was probably 6 or 7 years old. Or some form of it, and it seems that he kind of reaps the benefits as far as, and it already runs in my family anyways, being bipolar and manic depression, but he kind of gets to be strucken with that and a little bit of psychosis, and maybe it's something to do with like the numbing of our generation somehow over like, I mean, video games are good and bad. Now they do make you like numb to shit. You know, like, you know what a strip club kind of looks like when you're 12 because you've played Grand Theft Auto. You know what I mean? Even if you have no experience in walking into one, you've seen one before. You know what happens there.
Sure.
You can go to the back room and get a dance, and maybe she'll give you a blowjob because of it. And I don't know. It just kind of, it all just seems to be predetermining factors, and maybe I'm judging people that are just young and undeveloped. But also, it doesn't seem normal.
I don't think the video game is a problem, but if kids have too much time or they don't have any parental connection, or, you know, I don't necessarily think kids playing video games is a bad thing necessarily.
Right.
But if they don't have any other option beside that, then maybe we're going to have some uncomfortable conversation. But, you know, I didn't grow up with pills, but I think my understanding is that there's not enough therapists. Because there's not enough therapists, one of the most practical things that the adults in the pharmaceutical industry figure is just drug these kids. I rather there's some older folks have an opportunity to talk to kids and do it that way, but because we don't have that, it seemed like they just drug these kids. Not enough child psychologists, you know. And I don't know. I'm sure there's cases where you have to give pills to kids, but I don't know. Am I weird to say this? Like, it seemed like too many kids on pills.
Yeah, it's very
No.
overprescribed.
Yeah,
I'd say
that was my whole point, because like
Now,
he
I do
still
know some
has
little
access
freaks that
to
need
them
it.
till this day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He still gets them, and
How
my
old is
two brothers. He is 18.
And how many pills do you think he's taking?
I know that he has to take at least. He kind of takes them as needed now.
Yeah.
I know he's on antidepressants, I believe.
Man.
it
but,
just creates another problem that you can slap another pill Band-Aid on.
Right.
I don't want to be like anti-science. Like maybe they knew pills, but like my gut feeling. I'm saying this with no fact. My gut feeling telling me too many people on pills because they don't want to actually do the hard work and helping those kids, or they don't have time for them. But it just seemed like, God damn, how many pills are these kids are taking? How did my generation survive without pills? I don't understand.
Right.
I
Well,
mean-
and now, another thing that probably struck him, and it kind of got me pretty bad too,
Yeah.
was childhood obesity.
Yes.
Because we have all these processed foods, and it wasn't until in the last probably 10 or so years everybody started to kind of learn how super bad those are
Yes.
for you. And we just, grew up stop at the Burger King. We're doing a frozen pizza.
Yeah.
All these different things. And it makes you severely overweight, and doing that kind of stuff, like how I found out I had spinal stenosis and a
Yeah.
bulging disc. I was 21 years old when I found it. Now I've jammed my tailbone, and some of those probably could have been me breaking my back, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it hurts so bad. But besides that, just lack of core and back strength throughout my entire life, it doesn't help anything with stacking your spine. So I have to deal with that. But also being a fat kid, it humbles you early.
Yeah.
It makes you feel undesired, which is not a good thing for a child because they need attention
Sure.
and love and care.
Yeah.
And ultimately, when you become an age naturally, when it comes to the animalistic side of us, when you're like 15, 16 years old, you've been the overweight kid your whole life,
Yeah.
and you're still overweight. And realistically, you should probably be searching for a mate. At least
Yeah.
biologically, you're ready to start doing that.
Yeah.
And it diminishes you as a man entirely, too. You seem lesser than to everybody else because
Sure.
you're soft, you're pudgy. Girls don't like you. That must obviously mean that you're not even close to being a man.
That's a tough situation, isn't it? Because I haven't seen Bert Kreischer for a long time, but
Yeah.
I consider him as a friend, and I think he considered me a friend too. I haven't seen him in a long time. He's so much successful, but it's a really uncomfortable situation because on one hand, he's so successful and he's still that whole thing of being overweight guy showing his body and stuff. But God damn it, I hope I don't say to myself 5, 6, 7 years down the road when he has a heart attack or something like I should have said something, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think comedy is one of those things where you could make living talking about your unhealthy lifestyle. People laugh and it's relatable, but what point you keep doing that? Because you get to a certain point, like you get so overweight, it could kill you. You know, like
Talk about selling your body for entertainment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
you're
Well,
right.
selling your body to
The
trading
thing
your health for
with
money. It's
Bert too is that it seems like, and if you follow his story all the way back to when he got the Rolling Stone article written
Yeah.
about him, that guy loves to party and he
Yes.
loves to be a good time. He likes to put on a good time. He likes having a good time so much. He feels like everyone else should be having just as good of a time. So what is he going to do?
Yeah.
He's going to make sure that happens for him.
Yeah.
How's he going to do that? He's going to take his shirt off. He's going to get drunk. He's going to get everybody else drunk. They're going to talk about drinking. He's going to talk
Yeah.
real fast, be sporadic, and then act like he doesn't know some things as well. And maybe he doesn't know things because he does drink a lot. I love Bert, by the way.
I love Bert. I
as
mean,
a
how could you
fan.
hate that guy?
Yeah. Well, and also it seems like he's actually been losing some weight recently.
I
He's
hope
kind of
so.
been on testosterone. And also I've noticed his wife, Leanne, is looking really good too. Seems like she's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And Bert keeps talking about they're fucking a lot more now.
Yeah,
Like he said, it's like crazy. It's like it's never been before. And if you look back in their past, both of them weren't necessarily, if you're looking at like peak physical humans, weren't in the best shape. But it just kind of goes back to that thing, like maybe they didn't feel as desired before because they didn't feel as good about their body. Now that, you know, they've both kind of tightened up, they're going crazy like they're teenagers again.
That's why you encourage somebody to behave a certain way because it's entertaining and they're making so much money. It's hard to break that off. But man, I just really hope nothing happened to him. And like, I don't want to be contributing like, yeah, keep eating, keep showing you like, it's funny, but like, thank God Tom Segura is taking care of himself. He looks great. He looks like 10, 15 years younger now.
Yeah.
And
Tom looks scary now. He's got.
You could be in good shape and funny, you know. So like Bird, just like, you know, he's. I mean, I have my problems too, but but overweight, that shit will catch up with you older you get, you know.
Oh yeah,
like,
big
Mother
time.
Nature does not forgive when you're overweight.
Yeah, especially in this world where we're sitting in our cars all day and there's no outside to run around in. You know, it's all like paved and
sit your ass down and roll there.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And you know, like younger you are, you should have time to lose weight and everything. But I'm not gonna lie, man, these food, they are so delicious. They're chemically enhanced. Like you know, like how do you stop by one potato chip? God, it's right amount of savoriness. And like you have a soda pop or something, and you're watching your favorite show, you can't, you know, like fuck, I ate the whole fucking bag, you know, like I shouldn't do that, but they're so delicious, man. Like it's like, I don't think they're any different than same chemists making fentanyl or something. These chemists are incredible, great drugs and delicious food. You know,
huge factories making the best shit ever, and then dumping the waste into the Mississippi River, becomes our drinking water in New Orleans. Yeah, the very bottom of the Mississippi River. That's where we get our water from.
If you Google it on the internet, it says that smoking and something else, air pollution is the top 2 leading causes of cancer in Louisiana.
Oh God!
But what's actually like what an oncologist told me, a cancer doctor in the state of Louisiana told me, he said the 2 main causes of cancer in like your organs and stuff here is shellfish and tap water.
Why shellfish cause cancer?
Because
the
we
mercury.
have the 2008 BP oil spill.
So
we had for years we were having tuna wash up on shore being born with deformed hearts, mercury poisoning, all that stuff. It's like terrible things in the water in the Gulf of Mexico. And if you eat that, eventually, you know, lead and mercury, they build up in your system. Your body doesn't have a way to get them out. And so they cause problems wherever they pool up.
And we eat the fuck out of shellfish down here.
We eat a lot of.
Still?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're not healthy to eat now?
No, but we do
They
like,
haven't been
you've
for a
heard
long
of
time.
like a crawfish boil before?
Yeah.
Like, that's like, you try to catch as many of those as you can in a year. Like, you really do. And some people eat more of them than others. Some people are like, oh, I don't eat those things.
Yeah.
But it's never told to anybody like, hey, these things are really like, you know, like the sodium and stuff in them is bad for you.
Sure.
You never think about like mercury poisoning or anything. It's so far beyond your mind. It almost seems like no one's talked about it for a reason.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Like they almost want us to have mercury poisoning.
With shellfish and crabs and like crawfish and all that stuff, even like oysters, they're all bottom feeders. So all the shit that we put into the water flows down on top of them.
And my Jewish friend said there's some kind of law against eating bottom fish because they're unclean or something like that.
Yeah.
So Jewish people are like particularly like sensitive about those kinds of. But well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they're delicious.
Technically, Christians and Catholics aren't supposed to eat it either.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same part of the Bible that's in the Torah and the.
I guess you're literally eating animals like literally like shit on it.
That's just like Old Testament type stuff. Like you're not supposed to eat swine or pigs. You're not supposed to eat shellfish.
Swines are kind of considered to be dirty, I guess.
Yeah, well, you get a lot of diseases from. Yeah, I mean, you could get worms, gout, high blood pressure because of the high fat content in it.
Yeah, before we had like proper processing and proper like. Pigs would get parasites and like worms and stuff all the time.
But I mean, if you cook them well, wouldn't that eliminate that?
Yeah, but not everyone cooks them well.
Yeah.
If you don't teach someone how to cook, they're not gonna do it right the first time.
On
Yeah.
stage, I know to entertain people.
Yeah.
And then showing somebody a car, that's the easiest part as long as you know how to put
Yeah.
on a performance. Because you know what they kind of are looking for.
Sure.
And you know what to play off of in the vehicle if you know your inventory.
Right. And you don't
And-
want to be dick. You want to be supportive, helpful.
Yeah, because when it comes time to show them the numbers and show them how much
Yeah.
that they're going to be paying on their car, and it's a lot more than they probably could have ever imagined, especially with the economy the way it is
Sure.
right now.
How many? I mean, if you don't mind asking, how many have you sold?
I've sold 7, and I've been at it a month and a half.
What was it like for you when you sold your first one?
I was super excited
Yeah.
because it was a really big truck, a really expensive truck
Yeah.
that someone bought from me, and I knew I was going to get paid really well on it,
Yeah.
and I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was just super excited. I was kind of still learning, and
Yeah.
I got paid a good bit of money, and it was a half deal that I did with an older guy.
Yeah.
Because he kind of like showed me the way through it.
Sure.
But it was super easy too. I got excited from the beginning because the guy jumped out the truck. He had a picture, or his truck. He had a picture of the truck he wanted to buy. He was like,
Yeah.
"I'm buying this today."
Yeah.
And here's the keys to mine. Let's do the trade appraisal. We got in there, went to numbers, did like maybe 1-2 seconds of negotiating something,
Yeah.
and got the sign off. And I mean, it went off without a hitch.
Do you remember the guy though?
Yeah. His name
do,
was.
do you still have his contact information?
I do. Mr. Oscar Hernandez.
Yeah.
He's a Honduran immigrant who owns a tire shop on the North Shore across the lake. He owns.
It's
a
not
couple
too late,
tire
but it's
shops.
always like at the end of the year, maybe send a thank you card. That way you can have a repeat customer, whatever. you know?
definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
I
help
think
you take your holiday photos. I'm
Yeah.
sending out my own Christmas cards
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, I definitely. So like they have a system set up for us. It's called eLeads.
yeah,
And it's like a organizer
Yeah.
for you, and it has all your clientele and
Yeah.
future prospects and stuff like that in it, and it sets you reminders to be like a 21-day owner phone call.
Yeah.
So someone that you sold a car to 21 days ago, you give them another call.
Are you
Now
happy
there's
with
the
the car?
There's the day after follow-up
Yeah.
call. There's the 3-day owner email
Yeah.
that you have to send, and then like maybe their birthday or something to come
Yeah.
up. You call them and say, "Hey, happy birthday!" We were really stressed to get people in this past week. I
Yeah.
started calling people that had just like came in the store before in our computer system,
Yeah.
and telling them Merry Christmas and Happy
Yeah.
New Year. Hey, I was just calling on behalf of Best Chevrolet to tell you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
this is not any more different than when I used to see Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy, like how just like a customer service, unbelievable. That guy always shocked me, man, because he's a student of WWE, and make sure you not only tell them funny story, entertain them, but the best customer support and the fan appreciation kind of thing. Like he really learned from Vince McMahon, and repeat customers, and like just make sure they feel like they love the product and remind that they're part of his life. And yeah, he's fucking genius when it comes to that, the merchandising and things like that.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
fluffy. He's the fluffy.
Man,
I will say, I had a Chinese man come and try to buy a vehicle from me the other day, and he was trying to negotiate his interest rate before I could grab the keys to show it to him.
Yeah.
Like out in the parking lot, and I was like, "Well, we can go inside and go look at it." He's like, "No, I want to know right now in the parking lot."
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I can't tell you. Like, I don't know what the bank is going to say your interest rate
Yeah.
is." And he
is
just
it based on a credit report too?
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. But I mean, like, I'm sure he had great credit. Like,
Yeah.
you qualify the people at first.
Yeah.
He seemed like he probably had really good credit, had some cash.
Yeah.
But he was just like would
Can I ask
not
you
move
something?
from the spot
I believe you, but how did you know he was Chinese?
because there was a little bit of a language barrier. He knew a little bit of English, but he told me he was Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not too much an expert.
No.
On identifying.
Because even without you saying Chinese, I would assume Chinese because that's pretty straightforward and direct. Japanese people are not like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all look kind of alike, but behavior is so different, So,
It's very strange. It was a culture shock. I dated a Chinese foreign exchange student.
Yeah.
For a few weeks, and it was very interesting the way she would talk. It was very straightforward. Like, I thought it was I thought she was autistic for a little
Yeah.
bit, but it's just how they talk to each other in
Sure.
China. They're just very.
Yeah, that was a fun little clip of your life that just happened really recently
Yeah.
when you dated her.
I took her to the World War II museum on our first date.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
So you only dated her for like a couple weeks?
Yeah, well, she went back to China.
Oh, okay. It's kind of weird to say because I don't like people talking loud and little aggressive, but it is interesting when you meet people from South Korea and Japan. They tend to be very polite,
Yeah.
well mannered.
Even when Japanese people are yelling at you, it sounds like very polite and direct, like and indirect. I mean,
Yeah, and I think they're polite, not necessarily. I could be wrong, but not because they're inherently polite. Those countries are so small, it's easier kind of control most of the people's behavior. Whereas you got a big ass fucking country like China with, I know they all look same, but there's different ethnic groups within Chinese, and so they could be more rude, but that just means that they have more freedom to be themselves.
yeah, they definitely have. It's interesting because we talked about how there's a media blackout in China, and I
Yeah.
asked her about like what she thinks of like the news, and she's like, honestly, I have no idea what I'm reading, and like I don't know what stories are true and what's false. Like we don't know anything.
When she's in China or when she's here?
When she's in China.
Okay.
But here, you're getting your own perspective, and media has its own bias over here. So now,
It's like
Yeah.
breaking Amish.
yeah, it's like a
Going
very,
on Rumspringa.
very strong, like whip back.
Wait, is that an Amish reference?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rumspringa.
Rumspringa is where they get to
Wait,
go
do you have
out into
Amish down
the
here?
English world. No.
We have
not-
some.
do we?
They're not full Amish. They're more like
Mennonite.
strict religious?
Mennonite.
Okay.
They can still use some technology, but they do
So
they
go
do
ahead.
ride in horse and buggies.
Yeah.
And yeah, they wear like long dresses and skirts, and they'll interact with the English world.
Yeah.
Their own thing, I think.
Yeah. Well, my dad, he's really more of like a craftsman and an artist, and that's
Yeah.
why he liked to go to these. But we went up to these Amish auctions all the time. They've been to one in Pennsylvania.
You could find those places. Oh, not in Louisiana.
Not in Louisiana. Yeah, we this was a vacation we took. Was a road trip to
Yeah.
this. It was an Amish place in Chillicothe, Missouri,
Okay.
which is where sliced bread was invented. And I know that
What?
because
Oh, I'm
it's
sure they're
painted
still
on the
riding off
biggest
that.
building. Yeah, it's painted on the biggest building in town, the home of sliced bread. And
They riding on that one for a while.
about 45 minutes north of there,
Okay.
they have, it's like a big field, and they've got buggies parked, they've got
Yeah.
old wheels, old tools, and all kinds of stuff, sleds. And people from the English world, like me and my family, we go to these auctions, and you pay money, and they're auctioning off all this stuff that's like just trash to them. But everybody's like, oh, this is gold. I got this wagon wheel. I can put this by my fireplace, and it'll look
Yeah.
rustic or whatever. And
Oh,
my
they're
dad,
selling it as like antiques.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they are
Wow.
like really old antiques. Like, and there is some really cool stuff up there, and it's kind of like a fair for them too. They have like a hand crank ice cream
Sure.
machine going, and the kids are running around. They're on horseback, and you see like a 3-year-old kid riding a full grown horse.
Interesting. I remember there was a period, like maybe in the 80s in Japan, they used to buy those fucking saddles, like an antique piece. And I was like, what? You don't even have a horse. And of course, they live in city. They're not going to have a horse. But nostalgia is a powerful thing, isn't it? And people fantasize about riding horses. Japan is a little smaller than, I don't know, state of California, and have tons of people. So idea of like open space and riding horses seemed like a fantasy to them.
Yeah, the American like cowboy movie was like
Yes.
really popular with the East.
But what's funny is when you flip in and see how did most cowboy live in reality, not an easy life
They're
either.
they're eating
Not an easy
dirt.
life at all. In fact, very very difficult life. We get paid very little, but we like fantasies, and I think that's the problem. I think that's what I'm so obsessed about. Fantasy. We all have to have fantasy, but too much of it is destructive. Like all the serial killers. One of the common theme is they just have a vivid fantasy, and they inflict pain and murder people, and it's never good as their fantasy, so they keep doing this shit. Terrorists have fantasy about creating a better world through terror, right? Which is kind of crazy to think, but I'm friend with a guy named Joshua Nichols, and Joshua's father is Terry Nichols, and you guys are too young to know, but Terry Nichols was one of the 2 Oklahoma City bombers, and Terry Nichols' partner was Timothy McVeigh. He saw himself as Luke Skywalker fighting evil empire in the United States as Death Star. So he literally blew up downtown Oklahoma City, and I was there a week ago, but he literally destroyed downtown Oklahoma City because he's fighting an evil empire. It's ludicrous, but it really doesn't matter, because if you live in a fantasy world, no matter what you say, it makes no difference. They live in a fantasy world, so he see him as a hero in his story in the movie.
What a crazy reality that we live in, then, that Oklahoma City is our Death Star. That's
Federal government.
Yeah, federal. Yeah.
So Osama bin Laden see himself as freedom fighter, somebody who's protecting Islam, fighting evil empire. And recently, a lot of young people got mad through TikTok because they finally saw a letter that bin Laden wrote. He doesn't hate democracy. He doesn't hate freedom. He hates what America's doing in the Middle East. U.S. government went out of their way to make sure nobody read that in 2001. You know, so
Yeah, it's
and these billionaires, they make these policies and do stuff because they have fantasy of creating a better world, because they think their financial transactions going to make a world better place. Like SBF, the Sam Bankman-Fried, the king of cryptocurrency, he lost between $9.5–10 billion. Like Bernie Madoff is a couple billion, and Elizabeth Holmes at Theranos is like $4 billion. This motherfucker, that number is so big, I can't even fathom what that means.
it's more than all. Yeah, it's more than any of us will ever see combined. That's like
You know, so
insane.
But he probably had a fantasy like, I'm a good guy. I'm making cryptocurrency, doing trade. I don't know all that technical things behind cryptocurrency, but I'm sure in his mind, donating money to Democratic Party, that this is going to lead to betterment for humanity. He believes that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting a bunch of money on a path that you think is a righteous path, then you're probably going to keep following that path until it reaches a logical conclusion. Because if I'm making more money, I must be doing well.
Yes.
Yeah, well, in the left side of the political spectrum are probably a lot more open to something like cryptocurrency as well, the digitalized currency. I know a lot of more conservative people, older people that would vote in the opposite direction are kind of pissed off that like nowhere has changed for them. You know what I mean? Like every time I go in the bank, old people are taking out cash.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They love having cash. And I like having it too. I'm a little old fashioned that way.
Yeah.
Like I never, for whatever reason, and maybe I was just trying to be funny to myself.
Sure.
But I always said like I never trusted the bank. Now I have like a checking account and shit, but I've never trusted the bank to hold my money.
Yes.
And
I don't blame you.
I don't like the concept of having, okay, yeah, you have a debit card. Instead of carrying all your cash around on you, you can have all the access you need to it right here from this card. But someone could steal the information off that card and take all your money. And it you know, it's insured by the bank or whatever. But what if like, and that's another thing, like it happened to my dad. My dad went to federal prison for 18 months and he was, you know, pretty well off before then, but when they started investigating,
well, if you don't mind me asking, why did he go in prison for what?
So my dad he's a respiratory therapist by trade, but he started a home health business. He would go do oxygen in people's homes, and he sold electric wheelchairs, and people were qualifying for these under their Medicaid.
Okay.
And through the FBI's investigation, they had found where my dad had been gifting a certain doctor that was prescribing a lot of the patients that were purchasing products from him and getting in-home services from him. He was giving him a lot of money, that doctor. So they went to the doctor and said, hey, has Jeff McElveen ever gave you
so
this
basically
amount?
he was giving them kickback for using his product. Right?
Yeah, well, they were good friends anyways, so he would, you know, refer them to Positive Medical.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of the people probably did need it, and it was just easier for him to, you know, he was more inclined to give it to. Because, I mean, there was one case especially I heard my dad talk about. They took this man's electric scooter away from him.
Okay.
Because they said that he didn't qualify for it anymore under the Medicare. You know, he's one of my dad's patients. And he got put to a cane.
Yeah.
And he was burning leaves in his ditch one day, and he tripped and fell into the burn pile and died. like 2 years after my dad went to prison.
Ouch.
Yeah, that morbid. I've been seeing a lot of like videos of accidental deaths on my like Instagram feed lately. Just it's like
Yeah.
they really,
Sure, I should be laughing, but I'm doing the similar kind of thing. Not exactly the same thing, but yeah. But tell me, is it entertaining to see that?
Yeah, I mean, you can't look away.
Yeah.
I mean, you see
Yeah.
some very more like you're just like, oh, I'm scrolling through like some
Yeah.
funny reels, and some of them are making me laugh, some of them are not. And then you see like a cute cat, cute dog that's friends with a duck, and then a crane collapsing
Yeah.
on someone. It's just a very like it's
Yeah.
like whiplash.
Well,
Yeah.
it used to be kind of the ones that you would see like, oh, the bungee cord snap.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
when they would show videos like that? It would be like the bungee cord snap and it'd pause right before anything else
Yeah.
happened. It's like, if you want to see this video, follow this page right here. They don't even do that anymore.
Yeah.
No,
they
they
just
just
go
show it.
ahead. They have a camera sitting at the bottom waiting for this bitch's head to explode when it hits the pavement.
You know
Like,
what?
it's crazy as fuck.
You know what I've been watching a lot, and I hate to say it, like I enjoy watching it. It's these videos where these guys, evidently these wild pigs cause a lot of problem in places like Texas. So they hunt them. But my favorite is when they make this gigantic circular trap, and they put like a foot in the middle. And when they come back next day, they trap a bunch of pigs in there, and their job is to I shouldn't be laughing, but their job is to get a rifle, start shooting every one of them. Man, they're so good. And they're such a nasty animal. I mean, I shouldn't be saying this, but like,
Yeah. I mean, they're,
No,
they're
I'm
it's-
glad they killed them.
Yeah,
They're
I was about to say
destroying ecosystems. It's like-
yeah, I was like between
invasive.
me and him, like yeah, we know and understand they're invasive. They need to be taken care of. They can have a litter of 8
Yeah.
in 6 weeks, and the turnaround rate is so fast on them getting pregnant again. It's insane. There's
Insane.
so many of them.
And I hate coyotes too, but pigs are more entertaining because at least when you kill them, you can still eat them.
Right.
There's some utility. But yeah, when my friends lost a couple of their pets, the coyote, like I fucking hate those guys. But it's really fun to watch this rifle guy shoot them from far.
Yeah, with the
Like
sniper
I watch
rifles.
hours
Yeah.
at a time. Like I don't know why.
I was about to say the videos of people hunting coyotes with night vision inside
Yeah.
cow
Yeah.
Also, you
fields,
know what? Okay, you know
and they got,
exactly
like,
what I'm talking
I
about.
saw
Oh,
one account.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw one account
Tru-
that
yeah.
they would post videos of people like sniping coyotes
Yeah.
or like foxes from like long distances.
Yeah.
But they would edit it so that they just had like the bottom half made it look like they would
Yeah.
add like an ammo bar and
Sure.
like a health meter. So it looked like it was a video game if you weren't pay attention. So that's how they got around like the censors. They're like, oh, it's just a video game.
Right.
But it was real footage of people like sniping wolves.
And I'm really confused with pig because I think they are smart animals, but sometimes when one gets shot, all panic run. Well, they're self-aware, like we should run. There's danger.
Yeah.
But another time, there's like 3 piglets, like babies or something, young ones. One gets shot, get killed. Other one kind of looking for a second, keep eating. Then second one gets shot.
Yeah.
They don't even run away. So I don't know what gives. Like sometimes they're smart enough to run away. Other times they're just like, oh, he just died.
Yeah,
he just
sometimes they're
died.
just used to it.
Well,
Yeah.
and the thing, especially like with those cages, is the reason they go into them in the first place. I don't think they can see very well, but they
they're
can.
good. They have a good sense of smell.
They can
You're right.
smell the food.
poor vision.
So they go in there and they're just eating, and especially little baby ones like that, they're probably just suckling on their mama. They think that they're all just standing around,
Yeah.
and nothing's afoot. So when people come out there and then start shooting, maybe that would cause a little bit of a frenzy.
Yeah, because the
But-
people that are shooting them are also interacting with them every day,
Yeah.
so they're used to them walking around.
Some
so
of
when one
my-
walks up and just pops one in the head,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, some of
It's
my
like, whoa.
favorite ones is where they do it from helicopter
Oh yes.
with the
In
machine
Texas,
gun.
yeah, that shit is yeah. So funny that we were talking some serious shit, but it is so entertaining because I justify it by saying they're invasive. There's too many of them. They're destroying crops and stuff like that. They need to die. But man, I paused for a second. What? It doesn't look that different from when U.S. government was shooting Vietnamese people from helicopters. You know.
Well, maybe it's some kind of like therapy because a lot of the guys in Texas that I've seen doing it, they're all like ex-military, like
Yeah.
they know what the fuck they're doing, shooting out of a helicopter.
Yeah.
And maybe that is some kind of like way for them to feel like, you know, they're back in combat where they think they belong. Because
yeah,
I mean,
maybe
like if
it's
you
a way to make them feel worth it on
Yeah.
the home front. If I mean,
I don't know what your experience is like. If you're friends with any like combat soldiers or people, I have a friend that's in the army right now.
I have friends for sure military because my family. I grew up near military bases, and my uncle through marriage, he was a lawyer during Vietnam War and things like that. I'm pro military. I'm for most part pro cops. I didn't like that shit in Udovi in Texas where they stand around did nothing and those kids get killed.
That was bad.
I don't fucking like that. But for most part, it's just ludicrous to say defund the police. We need the police, believe me. What idiotic. Only rich people tell poor people to think like that.
Yeah, there's so many for a world where defunding the police is like reasonable and feasible and a good idea. A lot of other shit has to change first.
I think there's sure because I don't like when a person get killed by cops, but it depends on situations, right? Because sometimes accidents do happen, and sometimes poorly trained cops do something stupid. Human error isn't a part of all our lives, whether it's policing or stand-up comedy. But
I would say stand-up comedians have it a little harder.
But no one dies during stand-up, yeah. Well, what were you talking about? Police fucking it up?
Oh, just the ones that kill people and fuck it up for the rest of us.
Oh yes, yeah. But this particular situation call for that. They fucking burn how many blocks,
Yeah.
And
They burned the Wendy's.
Yeah.
a lot of shit. So, despite all this, I have to say, going to 70 countries, it's not a bad thing. Doesn't happen in America. It does, but I'm more impressed with the fact that every single day most people get along and nothing bad happened. Anytime these things happen, it's on TV. So you think whole countries like that? That's not true.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many different kinds of people live in this country. We get along.
Yeah, it's really
It's
good that
amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
I think we figure our shit out because we don't want to get. No one wants to get the cops involved.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, and just certain like here, even at schools that are attached to the Catholic Church in a way, you still have to like celebrate Jewish holidays.
Yeah.
You have to, account for all religions, and that's fantastic. The school I went to this day, they do a Christian prayer in the morning and in the afternoon and at the football games. They have, Christian-led groups inside of the school, and like a lot of those places, it's like, no, you can't openly make everybody listen to a Christian prayer. Yeah. Which is like, definitely with freedom of religion comes that you shouldn't be pressuring it on people. Yeah. Now, as a Christian, that's your calling, is to try to make fishers of men. Yeah. You know what I mean? And spread the message of God's word. And it's the same thing in Islam and in Judaism.
I think they respect both ways, right? Like I'm not bothered. Like, oh, thanks for offering. They mean really well. It's just not something for me. But I'm not gonna go crazy because somebody's offering that. And I don't like telling women to have babies, but they need to calm down too. People who say they're against abortion and sanctity of life, they're not exactly bad people. If anything, they're good people too. Yeah.
Well, Bill Burr said it. I think said it good. Yeah, they think babies are dying. Like they don't want babies to die. Yes. I feel like it's pretty normal to not want babies to die.
Yes.
Yeah.
But life is complicated. Sometimes things happen where you have to make a tough decision. But overall, I think I really fucking hate the media. They exaggerate because these days, most white people are dreadful fear of being accused of racist, and most people are not racist. I'm telling you, I've been to 70 countries. It's grossly exaggerated, this country being racist. It's just because a lot of time overseas they say racist shit without not even knowing they're saying something racist. Yeah. Because they don't have those diversity. Right, so like I don't get bent out of shape either. I'm trying to be reasonable.
Yeah, I saw a bus of like basketball players arriving in China, and they just started chanting the N-word because they didn't know it was. Yeah, they didn't know the context of it though.
And also, God, I saw this commercial.
That's funny.
I saw this commercial one time. So
I gotta see
it's a Chinese commercial, right? And they're selling detergent to wash clothes. So, to demonstrate how good this detergent is, so what did this Chinese girl put this black guy in washing machine, right? After putting detergent, wash, And then when she pulled the guy back out, he's completely Chinese. What they're implying is our detergent so clean, the dark clothes become
turns
clean
them
like a
white.
Chinese guy or whatever. And they thought being clever, like, Jesus fucking Christ. When I saw like
Gets even the toughest of stains out.
like holy fuck. And going back to Harry did we talk about Harry Connick Jr.? Oh, I was talking to Rosie about it. Never mind. I remember Harry Connick Jr. was in Australia one time. It's a talent show. There's a group of white Australians doing dance number, but they all have blackface. And they're just dancing around. The whole crowds are cheering. And after the dance, all the Australian judges give him very high score. Harry Connick Jr. gives 0. And they're like shocked. Look, I'm a visitor to your country. I don't understand everything. I just want you to know that from where I come from, we cannot do what you do. This is just like abhorrent. And because of our racial slavery and legacy, this is just a horrible thing. And these Australian people feel bad because they didn't know. See, there's a huge difference being racist knowingly and not knowingly. Believe me, I'm sure plenty of
I think he made the right move there though, because they don't want to give him a 10.
Yeah, he doesn't like a 99.
You don't want to give him like a. You don't even want to give him like a 4. Like I'll give him.
Yeah.
I like the part. I like that one bit where your faces were black, but
Yeah.
I liked the blackface. Hated everything else.
We all make mistakes, you know. Like we should be a little bit more forgiving to a point. But I remember this lady. I don't know who she was. She was talking about anti-Semitism in this country, and one of the NBA. She works in the NBA. She's Jewish. One of the NBA coach said pro something of a certain group, and all the other black players start following what he was saying because he's a black coach, right? But soon as she explained to him, this group is like anti-Semitic, they're a murderous terrorist group or whatever, then he said, I'm so sorry, he changed. So sometimes, even when we support something, we do it sometimes not knowing exactly what's up. So, like, if I have a friend that's supporting something, I don't get mad. It's like...
Because from their perspective, they're normal. It's
I'm
right.
sure they think they're doing something right. I would say like... I'm not going to change my liking you. I'm just like, I'm not cool with them for following reasons, and maybe they don't know. Just talk to people. I have so many people stop talking to me because, the one that it's kind of funny how many friends stopped talking to me. Charlottesville, during COVID, President Trump said there's a good people on both sides. Liberal media say he was saying they're good people and bad people, as in like these neo-Nazis. That's not what he was talking about. Yeah. He was talking about there are good people on both sides, whether to keep the civil rights statues. If a group of people talk and vote in and want to get rid of it, that's one thing. But people have a different moral values, And every time somebody represents some idea they don't like, you should think twice because in a weird way, keeping the statue might be a good way to remind people that this general supported South and they're Confederate and things like that. But getting rid of it, I feel a little uncomfortable with the whole idea, So I think
New Orleans has its own history with like the statues.
Yeah. So if you guys, everybody collectively had a debate on both sides and they decide to get rid of it, I have no issue. But these young kids randomly decide for everyone to destroy it. I'm not cool with that. So Trump said like there's good people from both sides, but so I explained to my friend, and that was it. He stopped talking to me.
Damn.
Like he's saying I support violence and stuff like that, and racism.
Yeah, you gotta get the full. You gotta make sure you're putting all your facts on the table, or else you're gonna get the Kanye West treatment.
Yes,
sometimes like it's.
And we're all comedians here. Like I don't think why Shane Gillis warranted firing. Like it's clear that he was joking. And,
I mean, he's doing fine now. Like,
yeah,
he is.
But, and Tony Hinchcliffe too. He was clearly joking, but this.
I don't know what Tony Hinchcliffe said. I know Ari Shaffir got in trouble after Kobe died, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tony, who was it what's the comedian's name that was on stage before him?
Oh, he was a Chinese American comic.
Yeah.
He was making all kinds of... I don't remember. He was kind of attacking white people or whatever. So Tony went up, clearly acting, doing this exaggerated expression of a Chinese person. and they tried to cancel him. He lost his management agency and things like that. But can I tell you something? When they say Asian hate, was there some attack on Asian people in America? Of course. But do you know who hate Asian people? Asian people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who killed the most white people? White people. Do you know who killed the most black people? Black people. You know who killed most Asian people? Asian people.
Yeah, when I took that Chinese girl to the World War II museum, she started like shaking her fist at the Japanese
especially
exhibits.
Japanese people. Yeah. I
Yeah.
get it, you know. But I look at those incidents like, to be honest, no real Asian person would have got mad at that. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's all white women. It's all white women who want
White women or Asian Americans. Because if they're a real Asian person, if they get mad at that, they're basically saying white people have something really important to say and their opinion matters to me. Most Asian people are like, nope, it doesn't matter with me. So they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But it's the Asian Americans who are disconnected with their Asian heritage, because these are the people who usually don't speak Asian language. They don't know anything about Asian culture. They're just looking for something to get mad about.
And it's not
grab onto some kind of
it's not necessarily only Asians. Like I notice a lot of like immigrants who are, I don't want to say whitewashed, but like Americanized. Like people who come from family of immigrants that want to, they latch onto that identity and they want to protect it.
Yeah.
And they want to feel like they're doing some activism and doing something good.
Yeah.
Because it makes them feel more connected to that thing that maybe they're not so connected to.
Yeah.
But it's not relating to the truth. Maybe not the truth, but what's more realistic from the average person.
How much time have we done?
We've done a lot of time. We've done about an hour 40. We can wrap this up.
Oh no, I just got a show at 7, so
What time is it now? 6:00. Yeah, I think this is about a good time. Do you have anything you want to like wrap up with? Say for the people.
I think it's good they're doing podcasts. I hope you guys travel into shows in other states. Hopefully, if you don't have a passport, I hope you get one. I hope you do shows overseas.
What are your favorite like foreign places to do stand up?
I enjoyed a lot in fucking Denmark. I really enjoyed that a lot. They like dark sense of humor. I enjoy when I did some shows in Helsinki, Finland. Sweden kind of reminds me a lot of the woke shit in Seattle and San Francisco. It could be just me in Stockholm, but they got mad at me before.
I feel like Sweden is much more woke than Finland. Finland's a little more like
it seems like that too.
That country.
I think Sweden is like a canary for this like ideological shit, like woke shit is going on. I definitely enjoy doing I really enjoy doing it in Scotland. I really very much enjoyed it. They have a great sense of humor. I spent a whole month and a half in Edinburgh, Scotland during the Fringe. That was my favorite month of August.
Did you perform?
Yeah, I did a one-man show there. I really, really enjoyed that. I love Scotland. I highly recommend you guys do show in Scotland someday. It will change. It will really will change you.
I got to go there. That's where my family's from. Is from Scotland and Ireland. I've got to go back. I've got to connect. First off, it's always been a dream of mine to have like a really hot Irish wife.
Yeah,
possibly, because that would just be awesome. Just a redheaded lady with like porcelain skin, fucking tight body, and that accent, bitching at me in that accent.
There's
Give
a lot.
It to me, dude.
And Irish are so good at telling stories, man. Not just stand-up comedy. Irish people at pub, they're just incredible.
Yeah.
They're just fun to listen to talk.
Conor McGregor is one of the best entertainers of all time, and he's a UFC champion.
Yeah.
He's got a mic skill like fucking The Rock. You know, he just talk a lot of shit. He's entertaining. But yeah, Irish are so fun. Even when they're like being a dick to you, it's kind of fun. Like they're really good with their words. You know, they're really fun to listen to. So I highly recommend. I hope you guys travel and just keep doing your social media stuff. You will find your fan base, you know, and you do well. But yeah, because you never know. Like a year and a half from now, your podcast change. You get better. You have more fan base. You know.
Mm-hmm. Fucking right.
Yeah, that's what we try to stick to consistency here with it. That's another that we made a goal. We heard this statistic that podcasts usually don't make it past the 7th episode. Most people don't.
Oh, they quit.
Yeah. And we've gone beyond that. And I think the vision is still pretty forward. Today is the first time with microphone arms. That's a brand new audio interface,
Yeah.
brand new computer,
Yeah.
a new setup and everything. So
Sure.
the vision.
Yeah,
is
you're helping
definitely
us ring in
forward
a
with
new
it.
era of
Well,
this
good.
podcast.
Yeah, we broke out all the good stuff just for you.
Yeah. Because I wish somebody was supportive of what I was doing when I was young, you know, and I think this is such an exciting time for you guys. But I hope you guys keep traveling and don't worry too much about money, you know, and get a lot of stage time. Have you guys done shows in Austin?
No, I'm actually doing that in January.
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna
actually
say-
going to the Austin for the first time to.
Let me know what rooms I can help you. I'll help you. But I think it's good. Just keep just doing shows. Forget about all the other bullshit in life. Do your job, make the money. But as soon as you're done, just focus on comedy and podcasting and keep doing the acting things. You never know what that leads. And if you have a chance to do like a play or even acting, just do it because that'll definitely help you with performance art, you know. And I think you're doing everything right, you know. Yeah.
Thank you, and we appreciate you coming on. I mean, like, it really is a big moment in our podcast to have
Yeah,
a guest.
it's a treat. This
as
is-
highly regarded as you, honestly.
This is the
'Cause,
first time.
It's okay moment.
It's all right.
Well, I mean,
This is
for the
our
most
first-
part, it's just been like us and our friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've had a couple people on, like I mean, he seems to me like a very highly regarded fashion designer from the local area. Lucian, he was on. He gave us like he gave me a pair of one of pants. He gave Cam a jacket. He made
Is
him
that the
some
name of the brand?
shoes.
One Up?
No, just one
It's
of,
just
like
like-
one of a kind.
He
Oh, I
made them.
see.
He made them himself.
He made them himself, and I mean, super cool pieces.
Yeah.
And
What he's a designer for whom?
He
Or
does
just
street
for
fashion. He's
himself?
got his own company. It's called Ducar Atelier. It's
Okay.
like French for 2-block workshop.
I see.
Because he has a workshop and then like another store that he runs with his friend.
Yeah.
And they're 2 blocks apart, so it's called 2-block workshop.
But you guys are still kind of trying to figure out what to do, right? And then you're just having conversation with each other and things like that.
Yeah, we usually try to keep it more casual. We usually like to think of like bits on the fly and
Yeah.
like really explore concepts a little more.
yeah, practice speaking untruths with conviction.
Yeah.
That kind of it helps tickle a certain
It's
fancy
really more
for
like
me.
it's really more like live sketch brainstorming. That
Yeah.
we kind of try to treat it like.
You know what might be interesting if you ever want to make like a secondary podcast,
Mm-hmm.
but you probably know that true crime is like a really popular podcast, but you could kind of specialize New Orleans first, but you have a lot of interesting like true crime stuff here, you know.
Oh,
Even
there's
though-
a ton in New Orleans.
yeah, and because you know what happened is, let's say there's a TV production company and they're making story about a certain city, and sometimes they'll look up like history of that particular city. Who knows if you start doing true crime stuff in New Orleans and they're planning to do a new show, they might pick it up and like, oh, you guys know a lot. You know, you could consult on stuff like that too. You know,
That's
so,
the goal, is just to make it look impressive.
And there's
Not
a lot
look
of
impressive.
interesting facts about New Orleans. Is there like a podcast covering New Orleans? If there isn't, you guys be those guys.
Oh,
as
we
well.
can definitely talk a lot. Like, I got a wealth of knowledge. Like, do you know Plaza Tower?
No,
That's a one of the tallest abandoned buildings in America. And
It's in New Orleans?
Yeah, it's a 42-story skyscraper, completely abandoned since before it was even completed building. It was abandoned.
was it abandoned from the Hurricane Katrina?
No, it was even before. It was because they finished building it right when they found out that asbestos is bad for you. So it's full of asbestos. And then they passed the law that like people can't live in asbestos framed houses anymore. So the entire building is basically like poison.
So what is the option? Just keep it that way, or what can they remove
So
that? Out
if
of there?
if they demolish the building, the explosion from the demolition will send all of the asbestos flying into the air, and it will rain down on the city. So
Can you
they
have people
can't-
going in and remove them?
They have to try and, if they don't have the money to hire people to do that, to deconstruct the building brick by brick, because that's just as expensive, if more, than building it. You can destroy a building pretty cheap, but you have to take it apart. Is the difference.
Well, this is what we call quandary, right? Like,
Yeah, right.
So what do you do in that situation?
But right now, it's just still there. It's standing up, and it's just slowly trickling out its asbestos. However, it gets into the atmosphere.
Yeah. Plus, ever since the whole Harris thing, they've kind of cut down on demolition around New Orleans.
What the? Oh, is okay.
The Harris
I was
Casino.
going to ask
Yeah.
that. Is that the house, the building that dropped down like 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, there
Yeah.
were 3 dead bodies that were visible from the street for several days.
And Rosie told me yesterday that the architect, whoever bribed the city, so there was like a poorly planned, and like she said, 13 people died.
Yeah, 13 people
Yeah.
died, and they weren't able to recover the bodies because they didn't have any way to get inside. It wasn't stable enough for even a person to walk.
Wait. You mean to tell me they're still building people in there?
No, not anymore, not anymore. Now it's just a slab. But there were, for about a period of 2 weeks, up on the building, you could see like a man's leg and arm, a person who had gotten
Yeah.
crushed. And it was so high up that, and it was trapped under a piece of rubble that was supporting other rubble. So you couldn't just go up and like pull him out. He was pinned, but he was visible from the street. Like,
But did you see a person in person too?
by the time I got there was a tarp over him, but he was still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
saw pictures of it like on the news because I'm not from this area, so I wouldn't have been down here a lot
Yeah.
during that time. But I definitely saw it on Fox 8 local news.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Because the show that kind of told me New Orleans was the David Simon who made The Wire, the Treme, and it's a really interesting story after the Katrina, And like I know some people could is like, why didn't those black people get the fuck out of there? Because they didn't have the money to get the fuck out of
Yeah,
here.
there's no option. There's
Yeah.
no way
So
to.
they stay there knowing this fucking thing's gonna hit them. Like Jesus fucking Christ,
Well,
Yeah,
you
that's
kinda-
another-
A lot of people, and I don't know how it is down here. Like a lot of people do evacuate from down here.
Yeah.
But like, so I'm a little bit further north. So
Yeah.
the hurricane hits a little bit of it. You can still get hit pretty hard up there by a hurricane.
Yeah.
But it's had enough landfall by then. It's kind of quieted down, and you're
Yeah.
not getting as much flooding because you're not as surrounded by water. But there's some kind of attitude that we have towards hurricanes. It's like, let's go buy some beer. The lights are going to go out.
Yeah.
We have a generator.
Yeah.
We're going to get drunk. We're going to eat sandwiches. We're going to cook all of our meat that's in the freezer. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
But like, so this past, I think I touched on it a second ago, Hurricane Ida, which was like one of the more recently big ones, and it had
Yep.
a lot of wind damage.
We had a party here for that one.
I was at my house, me and my roommate and his
Yeah.
girlfriend, and we're sitting there, we're cooking all the meat that was in our freezer. Lights are out, storm's going crazy, and we've kind of been hearing some trees fall,
Yeah.
and we're just sitting there. I'm cutting into a pork chop, and you just hear and through the storm too. You can't hear anything over this wind, but you can hear the cracking of this tree, and then boom, just straight through the middle of the living room, like
Damn.
probably like 5 or
entire
6
storm
feet
was let
away
in.
from where I was.
Wait, this actually happened to you?
Yes, inside of the house, and it was like 11:30 at night. You know what I mean? So we had a long night ahead of us. Like the storm had just really kind of started, and my friend's girlfriend, she had kept going from like back and forth from the couch to the kitchen,
Yeah.
sitting on the couch, and like where she was walking directly, a branch came down. This is the only reason it didn't go straight all the way through the house.
Yeah.
The branch hit the foundation. It hit it so hard it cracked the foundation,
Yeah.
and it stood there. But I mean, if she would have got hit by that, like she would have been like part of the
Yeah.
pavement. Like it came down hard.
Damn.
The only thing that was supporting it was like the front frame of the house, and then that trunk that
During-
was stuck to the ground.
During Hurricane Katrina, I was 5 years old, and my family stayed in a hotel that was
Yeah.
like a mile away from our house. Our house was completely destroyed, but we didn't know that. During the storm, we were on the second floor of the hotel.
Yeah.
It was a 3-story hotel. The third floor peeled back like a tuna can. And so everyone had to like evacuate and like hold on to stay. Just to try avoid getting sucked out. And like everyone we had another family come join us because their room had no roof and was getting storm inside.
I just realized something. You know what? It's been bugging me looking at you. You know who you remind me?
Oh God.
There
Go
was
for
this one podcast talked about stoic, and he's very popular, New York Times bestseller. You look like him. He's been on Tom. He was interviewed by. He interviewed Tom Segura. He's been on Joe Rogan many times. But there was this guy who writes book about stoic philosophy that when terrible things happen to you, you don't have to really control when terrible thing happened to you, but you have a control how you react to it. And he's a really highly regarded writer of that philosophy. And if you could figure that out who it is, but you do look like him.
Do you have any lead on his name?
I just know that
Because that does sound like something that's up my alley. Like I love.
if you put Tom
philosophy.
Segura and Stoic philosopher, I think that guy will pop up.
Yeah, because I love like Carl Jung and stuff like that in terms of like story writing and like getting into
Ryan Holiday.
That's it.
Ryan Holiday.
Yeah, you do
Okay.
look a little bit like him.
Am I wrong or
Let's see.
Oh, you know what? I'll take that.
Yeah, you need to grow that. Well, you can't because of the show, but
Yeah.
Cam used to have super long hair.
I used to have long hair. I looked great with it.
I was about to say that video you posted today,
Dude,
you look jacked. What was up with that?
Oh, I was surfing every day. That was when I was in Hawaii.
Oh, you were a surfer, bro.
I lived in Hawaii for a year, and I got 2 Costco surfboards, and I would go out to the beach every day and surf because I was taking care of my grandmother out there.
I see. Is she okay now?
She's a lot older. She lives back in Mississippi now.
How old
And
is she?
She is really mad that she moved back home. She's 86. She just turned 86 on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
So yeah, she moved in with my cousin and uncle.
Mentally sharp?
Oh yeah, and mean as hell.
Oh,
Just
that's
a-
a good sign. That's
yeah.
a good sign.
Yeah.
She's just very.
You're just the one quiet, passive person.
Yeah,
like,
she's
oh,
the one
no.
my sister does not talk to anymore.
Yeah.
My mom can't stand her. My mom gave her a gift for Christmas,
Yeah.
and she was like, your sister, who's the favorite, your
Yeah.
sister got me one of these. It's better.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just real throwing a gift back in your face, like the meanest shit you can say.
Your grandma's an Ebenezer Scrooge, dude.
Oh,
And
man,
let's
dude,
be
she
honest,
is-
When you're that age, you're not going to change, right?
Yeah.
Right.
She'll just
Well-
walk up to me and be like, I regret ever coming back here. I should have stayed in Hawaii. And
Yes.
I'm like, well, we all wish you could have, but
Yeah.
there's no one to take care of you out there.
Well, as compared to Mississippi, Hawaii does seem like a lot better
It's-
place to kick the bucket. You know what I mean? Come to the end of your life and go out.
yeah, Poppy had the right idea.
I've always said I want to live in Arkansas in my late retirement,
Yeah.
kind of by like Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Yeah.
But I don't want to die in Arkansas. And my friends always make fun of me about that. But like, it's true. Like, I don't want to die somewhere weird. Then I get buried in Arkansas. I have no connection to Arkansas besides I like what I've seen when I've gone up there. as
So
far as
Yoshi, where do
nature
you want to
goes.
die?
You know what? It's funny that you say this. I was kind of thinking this recently. I don't want to get in detail because I've talked about it in Joe Rogan's podcast, but I haven't been to Japan in 20 years, like 19 and a half years. I finally went back this year because Russell Peters' brother Clayton wanted to go and he needed somebody to go together there. I went and I'm really shocked because I never thought I was going back to Japan, but I really changed my mind. It's true. No matter how much you ended up disliking the place you're from, when you get old, you do think about like maybe that is the place I will go back. You know, like sometimes when you're young, you're ambitious, you leave home and you live a life. You know, decades after decade, but eventually, when you get close to thinking about how your life's going to end, I think it's normal to think like maybe I will go back to the very place I'm from. You
Yeah.
know, and I was kind of thinking that I like to be. I wouldn't mind dying. God, so strange. I kind of can't imagine saying this, but I don't mind spending the last 5 to 10 years of my life in Japan. But when I'm done, I would like to be cremated, and I would like to have my ashes thrown out of Pearl Harbor Memorial.
Oh, right on.
That was the last time I think I was happy because there was a bit of a separation between my parents. We got back together, and I think that was the first vacation we went together visiting Hawaii, in 79, which is way before you guys were born, right?
Yeah.
But I was so dumb. I thought things were going to be okay with my parents, and then not realizing that was the last
That was their last hurrah.
family kind of vacation together. And my memory of it was good, And yeah, it's good that you guys know what you want to do at this age. Don't let anybody dissuade you from doing it. You should do this. This is the right thing for you guys. Don't let anybody stop you from doing it, and then do it because you're young. Your day will come, and but when you reach my age, you do think about your life and your legacy, and like maybe you could do some good in the world, you know. Because when you get close to death, all that petty shit that you're mad about people for, they become so small, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, but live a life. I hope you guys travel a lot, do stand up all over the place, and then most importantly, mind your own goddamn business, you know.
Exactly.
As Eddie Murphy said, mind your own goddamn business.
Man, we're trying, but people keep trying to suck us into their
Well,
drama.
yeah, that's a different
Yeah.
thing.
Oh my God!
All right, guys, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
That's
Yeah.
really fun, and I can't wait to see what your show looks like a year from today.
Right on.
Because it's
thanks.
gonna get better, and it's gonna be different, you know.
Yeah, we're excited to have you back whenever
Yeah.
we get the new studio in New York City or wherever. All right, guys. Peace.